Una, paano
Morning. Good morning.
ako rin natin mo, oh.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning po.
Good morning po.
Morning po.
Good morning po, Doc.
Hi. So we would like to acknowledge the presence of one of our guest speakers or guest lecturer for this day. We have Professor Ruel Castro. So before we continue, I'd like to say good morning to everyone. And this is a combination of EDOC 208, which is seminar research and methods of research classes. No? The purpose of this webinar research topic discussion is for you to enhance your knowledge in the writing of your proposal paper. Because it is possible that your design, you might be identifying a design that is qualitative in nature. That's why we invited one of the experts in the qualitative research designs, no? A doctor PhD degree holder from one of the best universities in the Philippines, which is Bulacan State University, Professor Ruel Castro. But before I turn over the floor to Professor Castro, I would like to summarize first the various topics we'll be encountering in our webinar series. This is our innovation in research because I do not want to be monotonous and I do not like reporting in our research lab. Alam niyo yan. So therefore, we invited personalities, experts in their own field to discuss topics that are relevant in writing your research paper, especially your proposal paper. And I also would like to declare that this discussion will be a recorded one for asynchronous purposes, so that for those who are absent today due to internet connection problem, we would have time to go back to our discussion, previous discussion, rather. So may I request everyone to kindly mute your audio so that there will be a non-interruption of the discussion later on by our esteemed guest lecturer so that he can deliver the discussion. Kasi narinig ko ako may usapan ninyo. Narinig ko ang inyong kwentuhan. Paki-mute na lang ang inyong mga audio. I do not want to hear your personal stories in your houses. Again, going back to my introduction, last Saturday we had a very good discussion about writing chapters 1 and 2 using the format of Make a Wine College. For the knowledge of our guest lecturer, our students, our participants today are actually MAED students from Make a Wine College. And Make a Wine College is adapting chapters 1 and 2 as a format for their proposal paper. So as early as today, we are already guiding them, educating them on how to write paper for their proposal paper, proposal presentation rather. So for this day, we have two special topics, two equally important topics that are going to be discussed. One, nagkabaligtad lang ng konti. One will be qualitative research today, as soon as I finish my introduction. And then later this afternoon at 1 p.m. is another equally important topic in writing your research paper, which is APA, or the American Psychological Association. And this time, it's no longer 60 style, it's APA 7 style that you're going to use in writing your scientific research paper. Please be reminded that when you write your research paper, although it is not in IMRAD format, it will still follow the APA 7 style in writing your research paper. And then on February 13 in the morning, we will have a discussion on quantitative research design. So if Professor Castro will give you a taste, a very good taste of qualitative research design this morning, next Saturday, it will be Dr. Reynaldo Cruz who will tackle on the different research designs under quantitative, because quali is different from quanti in terms of their approaches. No? And I'd like to believe that I already have a recorded lecture about mixed method, kaya hindi na ako naglagay ng topic about mixed method research design. And then in the afternoon, we will be inviting Professor Christopher Francisco, who will discuss on research publication, its processes, credibility, and advantages. Because although you are in the Department of Education, or basic education, research is not only for higher education. Research is not only for college professors in the higher education. Professor Castro, is it correct?
Yes, Doc.
Yes, that is why, as early as today, although you are in the Department of Education, I would like you to learn how to write, how to publish your research paper. Writing an IMRAD paper was already conducted. But now we will discuss on February 13th, rather, its processes, some credibility issues, and advantages of publishing a research paper in internationally reputable journals. So that will be held on February 13th at 1 p.m. after the discussion of Dr. Ray. On February 20 in the morning, since you are in the Department of Education, it would be nice that you are aware of the legal issues, no, in basic education. And then in the afternoon, that will be discussed by Mr. Joseph Romel de Leon. And in the afternoon, we invited Attorney Benedict Jan Aure, who will be discussing patents in scientific research. Because for all you know, patent is also one of the indicators of research productivity, just in case you will be involving your research output for patent activities. And then on February 27 at 1 p.m., we will be discussing some standards or ethical standards in scientific research, because you know what, the requirement now, especially in the graduate school, is that before you conduct research, is that your paper must be ethically approved by the committee. No? So I invited Dr. Romel Punongbayan, who will share with you his expertise about ensuring your paper, ensuring your scientific research paper, that it is following the ethical standards. No? And then by March 6 at 1 p.m., since you are working in the Department of Education and you are under the Civil Service Commission, I would like you to be aware of the different regulations of the Civil Service Commission for public schools. Because last semester, we had a very good discussion about the rules and regulations of the Department of Labor and Employment. No? Kaya lang, that is for private employees rather. But this time, this is going to be for public school employees. And then on March 13, there will be two topics. One is, again, that topic, I'm sorry, the review will be discussed by Attorney Frederick Taylor. And then on March 13, two topics are importance of research, pakukuha perspective. We might be getting some important information about the importance of research through the pakukuha
Bakit
perspective
walang sounds?
by one of the officers of
Amel, ba't walang sounds?
Dr. Ninita Nagari. No? And then in the afternoon, I will be joining her on the topic entitled The Use of SPSS in Research. I have nothing against manual computation in statistics. That would be nice that you're aware of the different formula and how to use those formula in your research. But now that we are in the fourth industrial revolution, of course, going to the fifth industrial revolution, technology is very much in demand. So it would be nice, especially now that we are in the pandemic, that we should be technologically savvy. Sige, technologically aware na lang. No? And I'll be teaching you the most commonly used software in data processing, which is the use of statistical packages for social sciences. If you are already skillful on the use of SPSS, hindi mo na kailangan ng statistician. Basta alam mo lang kung anong klaseng tool ang gagamitin mo. You have just to enter those data in the software, and then just few clicks away, you already have the data. But what is more important when I teach you about the use of SPSS is making sense of those data or results of computation. Kasi computation now is very easy because of the aid of technology. But what is more important in the graduate education is how you make sense, how you interpret the data that are presented to you using the SPSS. So I will be discussing that thoroughly by March 13 at 1 p.m. On March 20 naman, we will be having importance of research using the CHED research agenda and its perspective. Kasi ang research ay hindi lang pang basic ed, may pang higher ed din siya. So meron mga tinatawag na CHED agenda. So just in case we have here from the higher education, you will benefit from this, no? And we invited Dr. Virginia Franco to talk about the research agenda of the higher education institutions, specifically the Commission on Higher Education. And then finally, on March 27, we will have the importance of research, kaya lang this time, DepEd agenda and its perspective. So these are the variety of topics that you will be encountering for the entire semester, although we started already last January. But I thought of innovating our class by identifying relevant topics in writing your research paper para medyo maging exciting naman yung ating graduate school kasi ano na nga, hindi na nga tayo nakikita-kita tapos boring pa magiging discussion natin. So I'll be exposing you to the different experts in their own fields, no? And then of course, the final output at the end of the semester is the writing, is the submission of chapters 1 and 2, especially for the subject methods of research. So we will be hitting 3 birds in 1 stone. First agenda or first bird is that you will pass the subject by submitting chapters 1 and 2. Second, this subject will be your passport to compre. Kasi hindi ka makakapag-compre kung hindi ka pa tapos ng iyong methods of research. At the same time, this will be your review for your compre. Kasi sa May Kawayan College sa Rowell, part of compre is research. So marami silang may sasagot kapag may mga itinanong sa kanila. And this might help them answering and passing the comprehensive examination. And finally, of course, the output of this academic endeavor will be the production of your chapters 1 and 2 that you can utilize for your thesis, actual thesis writing. Kasi ganun ang ginagawa natin sa Rowell. Yung output nila sa research, meron na akong pre-approval, yun yung gagamitin nila sa kanilang thesis defense. So yung magiging output nila dito ay hindi masasayang. Kaya ano to, hitting many birds in one stone, no? So I am explaining to everyone so that you will be excited, no, and motivated to learn, love, o like na lang muna love, to like research. Kasi research is life, and once you are in the graduate education, you have no other option but to really be involved in writing your research paper, because your thesis in the master's program is your passport to graduation. Sa doctoral, dissertation naman ang iyong passport sa PhD attainment. Nevertheless, I think I am done with my introduction for the different topics that we will be having for the entire semester. If there will be other topics that I would identify as essential, I will add that na lang. Through our GC, I will inform you kung meron pang mga additional topics that I will be involving. But for the meantime, these are the different topics that you need to learn in order for you to write and be guided your chapters 1 and 2 writing. No? So without further ado, I'd like to turn over the Zoom platform to our esteemed and known researcher in the area of qualitative research design. No? We have Dr. Professor, i-advance na, Dr. Professor Omar Castro. Dr. Castro, you have the floor now, please.
Thank you very much, Sir Nuki, for that very overwhelming introduction. Hindi pa po doctor, no, nurse pa lang po. But I am on a stage po of finishing writing my dissertation. Allow me to introduce further po myself. Good morning once again. My name is Roel Castro, and I am currently affiliated here in the Bulacan State University. I am currently designated as the Assistant Executive Vice President of the university, and I also handle professional education subjects in the College of Education. And just like what I have mentioned earlier, I am on the process po of writing and finishing my dissertation in University of the Philippines, Diliman, taking up educational administration as my specialization. And while I'm waiting for the result of my proposal, I enrolled po in the College of Law and also here in the Bulacan State University. So making the most of my pandemic time po, learning about legal foundations and legal basis of, the legal laws that we have in our country. Okay, so at this juncture, allow me to present my screen. Yes, po.
I might join you in the College of Law. I am also interested to enroll at Bulsu para sa law. Kailan ba ang enrollment?
Ongoing, sir. Ongoing po ang registration for incoming freshmen po.
Online naman yan.
Sure, sir. Yes, sir. Sure po. We would be very much excited po to see you around in the College of Law.
I'd like to be a lawyer in the future.
Sure, sir. Kayang-kaya po.
All right. Open, well, you may start sharing your PowerPoint.
Yes po. I just wanna say that I am happy seeing familiar faces and reading familiar names po in our class today. Okay, so sharing my screen. Okay, are we all seeing it? The qualitative research, theory, and practice. So this is not a new topic for everyone, for I believe that Dr. Nuki have provided you po with an overview of what qualitative research is, as he mentioned a while ago that he already gave you a recorded discussion about the mixed method, combination of the quantitative and the qualitative research. So we're just going to have a review po, and disclaimer lang, I am not critiquing, no? I am not critiquing. I have nothing against with quantitative research. It's just that qualitative research is very close to my heart because my master's thesis po was done in pure qualitative studies, and that is the very first pure qualitative research in Bulacan State University. So medyo bias lang po talaga ako when it comes to having qualitative research. Okay, so welcome to the world of qualitative research, theory, and practice. Okay, I just want to entertain lang the question. I might forget to answer it later on. From Ma'am Avon, I'm sorry, sir, pwede po pala talaga mag-pursue ang graduate ng education. Yes po, any course po, any 4-year course po, pwede po kayong mag-law. Although there are some courses po that the College of Law would require you to take additional units in English because that is crucial po in College of Law. Again, once again, welcome to the world of qualitative research. And for the sake of our discussion this morning, ladies and gentlemen, we would be delimiting our understanding in its theory and practices. But I would not be discussing in toto or in thoroughly po the designs, no, because there are that many designs involving in a qualitative research. And as we go along, I would just like to greet everyone uh, an advance happy Valentine's Day. So like 7 days from now or exactly 1 week from now, we would be celebrating the season of love, the day of love po. Okay. And what do we usually do during Valentine's Day? Can I hear volunteer to those who are very much in love, to those who are hoping still to be loved, those who are in a relationship, those who are already married, happily married. What do we usually do during Valentine's Day? Can I hear volunteers, or you may just use our chat box down below? Ayan, may nagbo-volunteer. We go on a date daw, sabi ni Dr. Nuki. What about the others aside from kasi sir wala kaming pera kaya hindi kami nagde-date. Ayan ako, virtual hug kasi nga pandemic, sabi ni Ma'am Vivian. Nice one, Ma'am Vivian. Celebrate with family. Oh, charot ka naman, Marie Allen, si Ma'am Marie Allen. Celebrate with family. Simba lang. Wow, Ralph talaga ba? Gusto ko malaman saan ba yung simbahan na yan. Okay. But of course, what we always look forward, even if we don't get it personally, di ba po? Seeing other people receiving presents from other people, from their significant others, makes us happy as well, if not for ourselves. But of course, we are happy for our friend or for a family member who is receiving so many presents from other people as well. And what are the common gifts that we usually receive during Valentine's Day? Anyone? Could you please give one? Flowers. Okay, thank you, Ma'am Joanne. Chocolates. Thank you, Ma'am Janeline. Okay, also chocolates. Ayan. So chocolates is having more votes, no, from the group. What about the others? Flowers and chocolates alone? Card, letter, wow. Thank you, Galaxy J6, kung sino ka man. Okay. So, of course, of all the things that hugs and kisses, ay sana all JP, chocolates and stuffed toy, yan, sabi ni Ma'am Joanne. I mean, I'm asking, no, what do we usually receive? I'm not asking whatever you want to receive, no. Well, of course, Dr. Nuki might send us bigas, sabi ni Jezreel. Practical nga naman, di ba? Pag pinamili ka naman niligaw mo kung chocolate or teddy bear, bigas. Chocolates para enjoy din ng kids. Ayan, napaka-family oriented naman. Ayan, sabi ni Sir Nuki, papadala niya daw tayo ng mga gifts. And of course, of all these things that we have enumerated, I have listed here the common gifts that people receive during Valentine's Day. And begin, of course, with a love letter. You know, in this day and time, receiving a love letter is very special because, you know, most of our messages are sent via online, like Messenger or in text message or in any online platform available. But receiving a love letter, especially if it is handwritten, is truly heartwarming. Tama po ba? Sa panahon ngayon na lahat ay instant, pero pag yung tao na yun ay nag-invest ng time to write a letter, di ba? Bond papers and ink ang hinihingi ng Mirasol para sa module ng mga bagets. Ay, sadali lang po, hindi po ito charity program. Ito po ay lecture on qualitative research. Printer, sabi ni Sir JP. Naku, mali ata ako nang napasukan, Sir Alvini. sabi ko sa'yo, si Dr. Ellie de la Cruz ang imbitahin mo para malapit sa Kapitolyo. Okay, so moving back, again, it's really heartwarming po, and we feel so loved and special receiving love letter. And next to that ay flowers. Ganitong flower po ba ang nais nating matanggap? Ayan. So sa mga nagmahalan po, Happy Valentine's Day. Tandaan niyo po, maghihiwalay din kayo. Sa mga sawi po, condolences po sa February 14. I'm just joking. Pero syempre, what we look forward is to receive a bouquet of flower as fresh as this. Diba? As fresh as you are kapag Valentine's Day. Hindi ko alam kung bakit nag-glow ang lahat ng tao kapag Valentine's Day, especially during nighttime. Charat. Okay. So aside from flowers, we also look forward, or we are seeing people receive craft toys. Yes. But just like the result of my quick questions, a quick question or quick survey of what we usually receive during Valentine's Day, this is topped by receiving chocolates. Who would not want to receive chocolates like this, especially pagka sobrang stress tayo, we need happy hormone. And happy hormone comes from sweets like chocolates. And just like receiving special chocolates o kahit lalapayan or honey lang na tigda 2 piso, as long as it is given with so much love, right? And appreciation, then we feel happy. And every time we see chocolates, I know that you would agree with me that we remember the very famous quotation from the movie The Forrest Gump when it says that life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Again, that is from the movie The Forrest Gump. Could I hear the group? Why is it so? Bakit ang buhay ay parang isang kahon ng tsokolate? Hindi mo daw alam kung ano ang makuha mo. Anyway, why is it that life is like a box of chocolate? Because, again, you're not comfortable speaking orally, you could use our chat box down below. It is either sweet or bitter. Ayan, sabi ni Ma'am Bribian. But these are both essential experiences in life, right? We need to experience sweetness, and at the same time, we need to experience bitterness for us to appreciate sweetness more. True daw, sabi ni Ma'am Vivian. True na true. What about the others? So since, di ba, everything is in suspense, qualitative research is just like a box of chocolate. Qualitative research is the life itself. And it is like a box of chocolates because compared to quantitative research, in conducting qualitative researches, you would be surprised every time, every single moment that you are dealing it because of the things that you could get from the box. The box is your study, or the box is your respondent here. And it is like a box of chocolate that every time you try to talk to people, every time you try to study it, and every time you get involved with your qualitative research, you'll get a lot of surprises. I mean, you'll get a lot of mysteries. Unlike in quantitative research, that everything is pro forma already. I mean, everything is designed already in quantitative research. Again, in qualitative, you never know what you are going to get. And I would like to appreciate the answer of Ma'am Ida Vivian Lansang. Sabi niya, life is unpredictable. It is full of surprises. That's why it is like a box of chocolate. And yes, again, qualitative research, it's like a box of chocolate. And just like any other relationship, its relationship status is, it's like a box of chocolate because it is full of, could you please type it? I'm waiting. Full of, Ma'am Jeneline? Full of?
Fitness po.
Surprises.
Fitness.
Surprises.
Surprises, sorry.
Yes. And since it has a lot of surprises, di ba? It makes life more complicated. It makes life more complicated. Yes, you might be wondering and asking, so doing a qualitative research has a lot of surprises and it is complicated. Yes, it is, but it's being complicated makes it even more comprehensive, makes it even more substantial, and makes it even more sweet, not just a better one. So for our first activity, to go to, I'd like you to go to www.menti.com. Everyone, please. And use the code 5586772. www.menti.com and use the code 5586772. I hope that everybody would participate po.
Done, sir.
Okay, may mga nakapunta na po. Sige po, magsa-stop sharing na muna ako para maipakita ko po yung aking menti.com result. One moment. And so, and use the code 5586772. So in this, yes po. So you are, wait lang po, wag muna po tayo magsagot. We might be having a wrong answer po. So in this activity po, I just want you to insert a word about your chocolate chip on qualitative research, meaning your idea, your one idea on qualitative research. So what is qualitative research for you? So to those who answer po already, you may have another answer po. You may delete your answer first. Okay. Ayan. I apologize po no to those who have answered already for not giving the exact instruction ahead of time. Hindi ko alam na mas magkasing excited pala po tayo. Okay. So we are having 9 responses in all. I hope that everyone could participate po, no? So the result is shown in our screen. And the bigger the word, the more, meaning a lot of people answer the same thought. Ayan, sige po, meron na pong 10. Ayan. Chocolate with almond. Pedagogy in teaching, meaningful siya. Ayan, meaningful. Ayan, so mukhang madami yung sumagot ng meaningful. Meron ng 13. Ayan. So what is your idea? No? Parang just a review lang. I mean, just an overview of how do you perceive or what you know about qualitative research from your previous discussions or readings or experiences in graduate school or even in undergrad, should you recall? So we have 21 responses. Sige po, maka 30 lang. Ayan, medyo ano na siya. Established na yung number of respondents natin. Yes, it's 55, 86, 77, 2. Okay. Perhaps we're taking most of our time in this activity. So the remarkable answers or responses that we have were, one, the top one is it is meaningful. Yes, just like quantitative research or any design of research, doing a research is always meaningful. But one of the responses that really caught my attention is the quality evidence. Yan, quality evidence. Ito kasi yung pwede ko talagang isugal. No? Ito po yung pwede kong itaya sa paggawa ng qualitative research is that you will get more quality evidences and more quality results in doing such kind of research undertaking. Okay, so moving back po with my presentation. Sorry. Here it is. Okay. So from our activity, by the way po, menti.com is free. So educators who are having online classes may subscribe po. It's for free, and it's very interesting po that you're seeing the responses of your students. Okay, so quality evidences and quality results. Okay, in order for us to understand better qualitative research, I would not be discussing a definition because definition is everywhere. I mean, it is that because it is a research, the definition remains the same. But what makes it distinctive or unique is the process or the approaches that we apply in doing qualitative research as compared to quantitative research. Yes, and just like that, since it is like a box of chocolate, everything is encompassing. Lahat po ba ay pwedeng gawing qualitative method or qualitative research? Yes po. Yes po. Even your topics and quantitative could be turned and redesigned to a qualitative one, could be pure or mixed, make it even more comprehensive and substantial. So just like our image here on the screen, it encompasses everything. Yeah. But what seems to be so important that we need to differentiate, or we need to know the relationship between quantitative versus qualitative in order for us to appreciate better and to understand more what qualitative research is all about. Let's compare it to quantitative one. Again, I have nothing against with quantitative, as both of them are requisites with one another. I mean, there is no single best approach in researching. There is a need for us to integrate the best features and best practices of both designs or both approaches in order for us to produce a well-written, scholarly research output or research paper. So given in the illustrations that I would be presenting, so basically quantitative researches is presented using this one, the charts, the graphs, exact and accurate and precise. Unlike in qualitative, it's more of justifying ideas. You will not see numbers in your presentation of facts and findings in qualitative research. What you would have are descriptions. Therefore, vocabulary bank or facility of language is very crucial in doing qualitative research. You need to have verses and a pile of language, of words, of vocabularies at the back of your mind for you to be able to present and justify your facts in doing your qualitative study. More so in the difference or relationship of qualitative and quantitative is this example. In quantitative, there's a free ice cream, di ba? Who would not love to eat an ice cream, especially pag parating na tayo sa summer, di ba? Everybody craves for an ice cream. And I know that you have your favorite flavor of ice cream. And if there's a free, in doing a quantitative method of research, you would only have this moment, di ba? Or only 1 in 30 take the free ice cream. Interesting. And you stop there. You stop there because you already have the number. And it is very clear that isa lamang sa 30 ang kumuha ng free ice cream. Free na siya, pero isa lang ang kumuha. So ilan ang kumuha? Isa. That's already a quantitative one because you have presented your finding using number. However, in the qualitative method, just like what I have mentioned, it's a box of chocolate. It has a lot of surprises to offer, and it's really complicated. So the vendor would be, you would be asked, no? So what did you feel when you saw the free ice cream? I'm excited, a little scared. And why was that? And follow-up questions. And then follow-up questions, and then follow-up questions for you to prove the theory that you're basing upon or that you're basing with your study. We don't settle for just a question, right? In qualitative method, we need to prove, why do you feel that way? Why is this so? Why is that person behaving this way? Then we need to ask, we need to do further observations and further investigations for us to prove that. Unlike in quantitative, it is easier to prove because numbers are given. Although we say that numbers do not lie, I have reservations when it comes to responses using numbers. Again, I have nothing against, in quantitative research. It's just that I am opening our curiosity and our imagination perhaps for us to feel excited about doing both quantitative and qualitative. It could be mixed or just pure qualitative. Like for example, in quantitative research, when you float your questionnaire, there is always a Likert scale, like 5 very true, 4 true, 3 somewhat true. And I kept on asking myself, no, ano ba ang pinagkaiba ng very true sa true? Diba? We might be wondering. Pag nagsagot ako ng 5 na very true, at yung sagot ko dito ay 4, sa isang question ay sagot ko ay 4 na true lang, would it make any difference at all kung pareho naman silang totoo? True remains true. Very true is still true. Right? So what's the difference? And then there's another scale, the 3, somewhat true. Somewhat true. If you're not sure about it, then why are you answering that way? Right? Then comes the beauty of qualitative method. You don't need to justify the difference between very true and true. Because right before your eyes, you would see which is true. Nothing more, nothing less. Let's explore more the difference and relationship between quantitative and qualitative research. Okay, the first one. In quantitative, just like what I have mentioned earlier, findings are expressed in numbers. Findings are expressed in numbers. In qualitative, findings are presented through texts or words. Texts or words. So, advantageous sa mga English major ang qualitative because they know how to play with words. Diba? They have very rich facilities of language. Like that. Next, in quantitative, it validates the hypothesis. Diba? There's a null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. We agree or we disagree. We just validate it after knowing the findings, after applying the appropriate statistical treatment on our research in quantitative. However, in qualitative, there's no hypothesis here, but we explore the ideas to prove the theory or somewhat to justify the content of the theory. Okay. Another thing is that in quantitative, it has closed-ended questions. Closed-ended questions. So from the first three sets of differences, we could now tell, or we could now tell easier that in quantitative, your design is seen and exact and scheduled already. Eto na yung gagawin ko. Descriptive ako. Diba? Magbibigay ako ng questionnaire, tapos kukunin ko yung mean. Alam na natin yung gagawin. In qualitative, it could be changed. No? As you go along your study, your approach could be changed. Ngayon, nag-o-observe ka. Tapos, hindi ka pa makontento, mag-i-interview ka naman. Diba? So later on, we would be exploring more on the designs po and the processes of doing the qualitative research. But at this point po, allow me to express more or present more the relationship between quantitative and qualitative research. In quantitative, it answers the questions what, when, where, and who, just like the demographic profile of the respondents, diba? The variables from the related literature be described in terms of ganyan-ganyan, tas may Likert scale na. In qualitative, it answers the questions how and why. So there's a big difference, right? So dito po, who, what, when, and where. These are the basic WH questions. And complications arises, surprises arises when we ask and when we try to answer the questions that start from how and why. Diba? Bakit ganun? Bakit dito sa quantitative, very true. Ayan, mahal ako ng jowa ko, very true. Sa qualitative, explore natin yung idea. Bakit? Paano? Diba? Bakit kanya mahal? Paano kanya mahal? Okay. So, ibig sabihin po, our findings in qualitative could also start from our findings in quantitative. Kaya sabi ko sa inyo, they are requisite with one another. No? Nandoon, given may nabasa kang gantong research done quantitatively. Gusto mo siyang i-prove further. No, for example, relationship between ito lumang study na, pasensya na. The relationship between academic performance and socialization skills of the students. Bakit ito matalino pero hindi siya sociable? So tapos na yung nabasa mo yung research na yun, may findings na gusto mong i-prove further. No, gusto mo pang bigyan ng mas malalim na interpretasyon kung bakit may mga batang nag-e-excel sa classroom pero walang kaibigan masyado, no, or hindi sociable masyado. Gusto mong i-prove pa yon. Ngayon, gagawin mo yung qualitative part niya by asking or by answering the question how and why. At kung paano mo siya gagawa and kung paano mo siya sasagutin, later on you would be exploring that. And last one is that si quantitative ay objective kasi sakto siya, accurate kasi may numbers. May numbers. Si qualitative subjective. Subjective because the result may change abruptly. Like today, your observation is like this. Your finding is like this. And then the next day iba na siya. So ano yung factors kung bakit nag-iiba yung na-observe mo o yung nakikita mo? That has to be presented as well in qualitative. Unlike in quantitative, eto na yun kasi nag-float ka ng questionnaire, di ba? So parang, ayan, these are the broad and general relationship and differences of quantitative versus qualitative. And I know, di ba, na just like a very famous meme today and nowadays, naririnig nyo na siya. sa dami po ng ano no. Sa dami na na-present ko kanina, naririnig niyo na siya. Yan, from here, ang dami pa lang pinagkaiba, parang nakakalito po. Tapos ito na siya. Naririnig niyo na siya, 'di ba? Objective si ano, tapos subjective si isa because kasi nga ganito po. Si quantitative, you just distribute the questionnaire. You float the questionnaire, the survey, through a survey. Tapos may 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Check lang nila. Then you collect it, di ba? You tally the responses of your participants and then you apply appropriate statistical method. Then after that, meron ka ng 5 chapters. Sa qualitative, hindi lang ito 5 chapters. Kung institutional format ito, if we're not going to follow the IMRAD or the APA 7th format, kung institutional format ito, for example here in Bulsu, you would have 7 or more chapters in qualitative. Not just the typical 5 chapters that we have in quantitative. Right? And here's the difference. In quantitative, the chapter 1 is the problem and its background, the introduction, the statement of the problem and all. And number 2, review of related literature, relevant theories. Chapter 3, methods of research. Chapter 4, presentation analysis of data. And number 5, conclusion, summary of findings, conclusion, and recommendation. Yung first 3 chapters natin in quantitative, yung intro, yung review of related literature, and then yung methods of research, chapter 1 lang yun ng qualitative. Chapter 1 lang siya ng qualitative. Ano yung chapter 2? Yung sagot, yung narration mo sa statement of the problem number 1. So kung meron kang 5 statement of the problem, meron kang 7 chapters in all in your qualitative. The chapter 1 ay hanggang dun sa proposal, sa methods of research. Yung chapters 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yung sagot sa bawat isang statement of the problem, specific problem. At yung pang number 7 ay yung conclusion and recommendation. That's how, yes, complicated and surprisingly, ganun pala si qualitative. But just like that, no, hindi ko sinasabing 7 lang. No, pwedeng 8, pwedeng 9, pero hanggang 10 lang. No. May mga problems, may mga statement of the problems in qualitative research na pwede nang pagsamahin sa iisang chapter. Again, it would be depending on how you and your advisor would package your entire research. Okay. Just like what I have mentioned earlier, ganito po, kakomplikado. But then again, ka-rich, kayaman ang paggawa ng qualitative research. You may do one-on-one interview, but doing interview alone is not a qualitative research, qualitative approach already. No. Because anything could be faked in question and answer portion. I mean, you could tell it, diba? Your respondent, you could say that your respondent is not actually saying the same thing or the real thing. But of course, your main goal while you are doing your qualitative research is for you to find out the absolute truth about what you are studying for. Okay, ano ang totoo talaga? Again, because in floating the questionnaire, I doubt if they read it, especially a very voluminous or too many pages in a questionnaire, in a survey, in quantitative, written in English, so to speak, I doubt if they really understand the content of each or the message of each question. And I doubt if they really read it. Sometimes they just check it. Di ba? Okay, sige 5 na lang, sige 4 na lang, sige 3 na lang. But your readings tell otherwise dun sa result. Kasi nga, nagche-check lang sila. Ako, ba't kaya ganito yung sagot nila? Di ba naintindihan? Talaga kayang binasa talaga kaya nila yung survey, yung questions, and then there comes your confusion. Then how are you going to validate it? I-recommend mo na gawin ito qualitatively. Di ba? Para makita talaga yung validity nung study mo na ginawa mo ng quantitative. And again, napakarami nang nagawa quantitatively. No? Kung merong isa sa mga researches na ito na pumukaw ng attention mo at hindi ka sumasang-ayon sa resulta, adapt mo, gawin mong qualitative naman. Walang survey, walang numbers, 'di ba? Magiging chismosa ka lang. But at least it is an academic chismisan because you have the goal. One-on-one interview, you start from that. One-on-one interview. Okay? Then, again, if you're not yet contented, you do the case study research. Case study research. Okay? Record keeping. Ito yung pinakamasaya, yung process observation. Process observation. Bakit? Kasi, in qualitative research, there is a requirement. It is a requirement that you need to immerse yourself on the place where you are where you are conducting the study. In my case po, just a brief story lang. In my case po, way back 2014 and 2015, my study was management of schools at relocation sites. So that was the time when relocation sites were too popular, no? So sa mga nakatira po sa mga lugar na may mga relocation sites, yung mga Northville, ayan, na tapos may mga tinayong school, pinag-aralan ko po yung proseso po, yung pamamalakad po ng eskwelahan at relocation sites ito. Ito po yung mga naapektuhan ng North Rail project, yung gagawing LRT from Manila to La Union na ngayon po ay nagmamaterialize na. And so, just to humble brag lang din po, malaki po ang kinita ko dun sa thesis ko na yun kasi ginamit po siya ng gobyerno po para po sa pagpapatuloy po nung North Rail project. So, I immerse myself on those two relocation sites. Tig 6 months. Tig 6 months ako sa Bukawi, sa Batsa. Doon ako tumira talaga together with the relocatees na who came from different places. Ayan. At siguro po sa mga familiar sa mga kaganapan sa North, sa mga kaganapan sa relocation sites, ayan, nakaka-relate po kayo sa akin. Kasi talaga pong during that time po ay magulo po talaga kasi mga bagong lipat lahat, pinalipat doon pero wala pala silang bahay, tapos walang binigay na pagkain, wala pang bubong, walang kahit na ano, magulo po. Yes po. Even patayan po is real. Ayan. So yun po yung I experience. Ang tapang nyo po, sir. Yes, Sir Jezreel. Opo. Talaga pong tapang po ang pinanghawakan natin, tsaka dasal talaga. Mangyayari po na maglalakad ako doon sa baryo, doon sa relocation sites na nakapantalon, naka-t-shirt, minsan naka-jacket pa. Pag uwi ko po, doon sa tinitirahan ko, naka-boxer shorts na lang ako. Kasi na-arbor na nila yung t-shirt. Kasi na-arbor na nila yung pantalon. Na-arbor na nila yung tsinelas. Apo. But surprisingly, yung school nila, kahit ang gulo-gulo ng community, yung school nila top 1. Yung mga bata nakakarating ng national level sa press conference. See, hindi yun mapuprove ng survey. 'Di ba? Pero dahil doon ako tumira, nakita ko kung paano yung mga guro doon, tsaka yung principal sa eskwelahan na yon, ay nahihiwalay ang buhay ng mga estudyante sa labas ng paaralan, tsaka sa loob ng paaralan. Totoo din po, bagamat na i-share ko na lang din po, totoo din po na may mga, sa community po na may mga minors po na involved sa prostitution, pero achiever sa klase, mga ganun. Ayan, yung one of the barangay officials would tell na pag Sabado ay may inaalay kasi po ay may namamatay. Pero during that time po yun. Pero ngayon, it's better now. Mas maayos na po yung community doon. Ayan, it's process observation po. Talagang everyday po I join their flag raising ceremony, I join their Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts activities. I train the students in press conference. Ayan. On the other hand, dun sa isang relocation site, mas maayos yung community, pero yung school poor ang performance. So dalawa lang po, no? Dalawa lang po yung in-observe ko. Unlike in quantitative, you have more respondents, 100 of them, 50 of them. Pero dito po sa qualitative, kahit isa lang po pwede. But never ever underestimate yung isa. Kasi you are actually studying one, pero isang community siya. No. So lahat ng bagay sa community ay kailangan mong pag-aralan kahit isa lang siya. Okay. So we have the ethnographic research kapag ito part din in my study kasi nga originally dun sa lugar meron lamang 500 na tao nung hindi pa siya nagiging relocation sites. Yung natives doon, yung mga talagang tunay, lehitimong nakatira doon ay 500 lamang. Pagdating ng mga relocatees, naging 20,000 plus sila. Yung mga tao doon sinasabi na during early stage po ng relocation, kapag po nagsaing kami sa labas, nawawala po pati kaldero. Pag po nagsampay kami, kahit po yung panty o yung brief, nawawala po pag nakasampay. So these are, I believe, nightmares po that happen kasi bago siya eh. 'Di ba? Pag may bago, may conflict. At ngayon, at least better community na siya. Okay, and focus groups. That's the beauty of it. Siguro, mas ma-appreciate natin siya pag diniscuss natin yung key features ng qualitative research. Ayan. I am only given until 12 noon. Tama po ba, Dr. Nuki?
Yes, Dr. Castro.
Again, pagka po meron kayong questions along the way, you might just type here down below our chat box po. Okay, so key features ng qualitative research. Okay, so events can be understood adequately only if they are seen in contexts. You know, in quantitative, you float the questionnaire, iwanan mo lang, tapos babalikan mo lang pag naka-accomplish na nila. Unlike in qualitative, it can only be understood enough and comprehensively kung nakikita mo siya in the flesh. Therefore, a qualitative researcher or you as a qualitative researcher immerses her or himself in the field, in natural surroundings. Again, it's not enough that you interview. Interviewing is not qualitative research already. Interviewing alone is not enough. You need to immerse. Gaano po katagal? Later on, may requirement siya. The context of inquiry are not contrived. Tulad ng sabi ko, yung konteksto ng pag-i-interview, hindi siya contrived, hindi siya enough. Diba? Because it's natural eh. Natural na may tanong, may sagot, may tanong, may sagot. Diba? Pero bakit ganun yung sagot? You need to study further. You need to observe further. Okay? Because nothing is predefined or taken for granted. Nothing is predefined or taken for granted. Again, it is a box of chocolate. Diba? You'll never know what you're going to get. But, tulad ng sabi ko, when you immerse yourself, pag-aralan mo yung mga barangay high schools, then you choose, dati kasi Marcelo lang eh. Parang iilan lang. Dito sa Malolos, no, parang ilan lang talaga yung high school. At pinakasikat pa ng Marcelo, to may have 42 sections, 50 sections per year level. No? Pero ngayon marami ng barangay high schools in Malolos. Parang priority project siya ni Mayor Christian during that time. O kaya naman ay factors affecting the lives of teachers in Bay Area. Bay Area. Ayan. Madali siyang malaman through quantitative survey kayo ng mga challenges and triumphs ng mga teachers assigned in Bay Areas. But what makes it more beautiful, what makes it more mesmerizing, is that when you go to the Bay Area, you live there for a couple of months, for quite some time. And then you choose one teacher, just one teacher, at siya yung i-observe mo. Titira ka dun sa bahay din nila kung nagta-travel siya from land via rivers, the sea, going to the Bay Area. Yan. Doon ka titira sa kanila, observe mo siya. Like that. And ano ba nga ba yung mga challenges, notwithstanding personal, family, friends, school and administration? What are the challenges that they are facing considering na kailangan magbangka para makarating yung tulong, para makarating yung semento, para mapagawa yung building. 'Di ba? Marami kang matatagpuan, marami kang makikita na differences sa personality ng mga teachers na nasa city at mga teachers sa Bay Area. Ang reminder ko lang, wag tayong ma-overwhelm sa pagpe-present ng findings kasi hindi porket natuklasan mo siya or nalaman mo siya ay relevant siya sa ginagawa mong study. There are things better left unsaid. There are things better left unsaid. Hindi po lahat ng kwento ay totoo at hindi lahat ng totoo ay dapat ikwento. Okay? Again, it's a box of chocolates. You just keep on picking chocolates because your participant observation would offer you a lot of findings, would give you a lot of results, of stories to tell. But some of these stories, may not be relevant to your present research or to your present study. So you have to be careful with the details that you're going to add or to write or present in your paper because again, you don't have to be overwhelmed. Okay. Again, that's the beauty of doing the qualitative research. You are finding out the absolute truth. The absolute truth. Okay. The next feature is that qualitative researchers want those who are studied to speak for themselves, to provide their perspective in words and other actions. Again, to speak for themselves is not a literal speaking orally. Actions are even more comprehensive than the words themselves. That's why you're going to participate and observe them. Well, of course, expected would be going back to my example, the teachers in the Bay Area, when we expect that the school would have very limited instructional materials. right? Then you would notice perhaps that, oh, teachers in Bay Areas are more creative, 'di ba? In improvising instructional materials. But wag natin siyang i-romanticize. I mean, we don't also romanticize the facts. We have to also state it na kaya sila magagaling mag-improvise kasi wala lang silang choice. 'Di ba? Magandang pinupuri natin, no? Pinupuri natin yung characteristics. Halimbawa lang po ito, no? Parang we recognize their efforts, we recognize their creativity. But compared to other teachers in the city, 'di ba, who do not need to actually put their life at stake in a matter of life and death just to teach their pupils and students accordingly. Bakit? Kasi kaya ka gumagawa ng qualitative research ay para maipakita at para masalamin sa iyong papel ang tunay na kalagayan ng lipunan. Teachers are given voices and platforms to educate people. Educate people not just with the words and facts that are written on the books, but those things that only limited eyes could see. And because of your qualitative research, you are opening up the minds of people with the real situation of educational system in the country. Okay? That survey and quantitative research could not always quantify or could not always feature. Therefore, qualitative research is an
Nagtumbong na sana siya, sir. Kung ako siya yung unang nagbigay sa ng motibo, sir. Okay. Ang sinasabi niya, kaya di siya nagsumbong dahil alam daw niya ugali.
Ma'am Anna, gusto niyo po bang uminom muna ng tubig? Sir Alvin. May tulpo pa. Ay hindi po ako kasing popular ni tulpo, ha.
A simple reminder that while you are using the Zoom platform, ethically we need to mute our audio.
Yes. But thank you for the intermission number. Therefore, qualitative research is an interactive process in which the person studied teach the researcher about their lives. Again, we are given the voices. Your qualitative research unconsciously, or indirectly, it mirrors, it reflects the real situation. If not only the educational system in the country, but the life of the people in general. An quantitative researcher is an integral part of the data. Without the active participation of the researcher, no data exists. Hindi tayo passive, no? Pag qualitative. Again, hindi ko sinasabing passive naman si quantitative researcher, pero medyo. Kasi nga, you just float the questionnaire, no? In one of the approaches po, not all of the approaches, in one of the designs, you just float the questionnaire, then get it, and then you do it statistically. So medyo passive siya. But of course, in qualitative research, ayan, pwede na po kayong maging Cara David, Javi Severino, Sandra Aguinaldo, who are very good in documentary film. Ayan, kapag po nagawa natin ng maayos si qualitative research. Okay. For the qualitative researcher, for us, qualitative researchers, there is no single reality. Hindi porket ganito yung sagot sa interview, yun ang totoo. At hindi po lahat ng totoo, again, dapat nating ikwento o ilagay sa papel natin. It is subjective and it exists only in the reference to the observer. Reference lang siya, ha? Reference lang siya. Okay. What about the limitation? So because of the time and cost involved, qualitative designs do not generally draw samples from large-scale data sets. Magastos po si qualitative kasi kailangan mag-apartment, or kung makikitira ka dun sa pinaka-subject mo, syempre kailangan mo magbigay kahit papaano sa tubig at kuryente, sa pagkain man lang. Tapos mahirap to kasi kapag kapag may pamilya, no, mahirap pong mag-qualitative research kasi it requires field immersion. Okay, pero syempre, isipin mo na lang ay nag-abroad ka. Dahil after mo namang mag-qualitative research ay sobra naman yung fulfillment. Okay. So the problem of adequate validity or reliability is a major criticism of what? Of the questions that you have in mind, di ba? Of the questions that you're going to ask your respondents. Unlike in quantitative, your survey questionnaire is validated by experts, or if not adapted, di ba, from previous researches, with the permission of the research of the owner, of course, or of the author of the questionnaire. Then you adapt it and then you modify it. But when you modify it, it also needs to undergo validation of the expert. So because of the subjective nature of the qualitative research of the data and its origin in single contexts, it is difficult to apply conventional standards of reliability and validity. So hindi to tulad ng ating test papers na may table of specifications, no? Kasi nga dito, most of the time you only have the question in mind. And when you have that question in mind, those are the things that would delimit your participation and that would delimit your observation. Okay. For example, because of the central role played by the researcher in the generation of data, it is not possible to replicate qualitative studies. Unlike in quantitative, pwede kang gumawa ng ng halos pareho. Iba lang yung respondents na research. No, relationship between academic performance and socialization skills, lives of the working mother, and quantitative. Pwedeng pareho, iba lang yung respondents. Unlike in qualitative, it couldn't be replicated that easily. No. Kasi, you may have the same experience, but not actually the same because it happens in different time and at different place. Another limitation is that how long at least na magstay ka sa field? At least 1 year. Minimum of 1 year. Pero kung may dalawa ka, 6 months pwede na. Hindi ko po kasi ina-advise na lumagpas pa sa dalawa yung respondent mo kapag qualitative. Kasi yung sa isa lang po, talagang overwhelming na yung data, overwhelming na yung ma-observe mo, yung makikita mo, especially yung takbo ng community. Kasi if it's the person that it is the person that who happens to be your respondent, hindi lang naman yung buhay niya yung o-observein mo pati yung buhay niya sa community at kung ano yung binibigay ng community at kung paano yung community ay pinapalakad ng mga leaders at kung ano ba yung background ng mga leaders na ito. Nagets po natin? No? Yung isang tao na ino-observe mo, yung behavior niya, yung personality niya ay dahil sa mga external factors kung saan siya nakatira. Hindi lang ng bahay nila, kundi ng buong baryo o ng buong street. At pag-aaralan nyo po yung pang-araw-araw na buhay na nangyayari doon sa street na yun. Ayan. Parang sociological ba siya? Yes po. But of course, in presenting your fact, you would be delimiting the information on your theme or on your topic. Analysis of qualitative data is difficult, and expert knowledge of an area is necessary to try to interpret qualitative data, and great care must be taken when doing so. For example, if looking for symptoms of mental illness, kailangan itong yung result, yung presentation mo rather, kailangan mabasa ng isang sociologist. Kailangan mabasa ng isang registered guidance counselor. At least three experts po on the field that you are trying to develop. Okay. So for example, if looking for symptoms of mental illness, naniniwala po ako na lahat po tayo kilala po si Jang Gyum. sa Jewel in the Palace. Minsan po natin siyang pinagpuyatan, di ba? Minsan po natin siyang kinaadikan. At lahat po tayo ngayon ay naghahanap ng ginseng. Baka ito na ang gamot sa COVID. Sana yung COVID parang jangyum, napupulsuhan mo lang, wala na, no? Gagaling na. Pero hindi po ganun. Sana acupuncture lang ang lahat, di ba? Sana sa mga ugat-ugat lamang ng puno nakukuha tulad ng sa jangyum. Ganun po. May thorough studies na by the experts. Okay. And one important requirement, kailangan may agreement kayo ng respondent mo na lahat ng nakasaad doon sa iyong paper ay pawang katotohanan lamang at dapat ito ay notaryado. Pag hindi po, well, the panel could question the validity of the result. Okay, so yun po yung ating requirement. Hindi lamang nung respondent mo talaga, pati po yung mga taong in-interview mo, yung mga taong in-involve mo po doon sa iyong pag-aaral. Kailangan po may agreement at kailangan po naka-notaryo po. And that could be part of your appendices. But of course, in IMRAD naman, hindi mo naman kailangan i-attach yun. No? Or in APA, hindi mo na kailangan i-attach yun. Just for, record purposes. The strength, ayan, malapit na po tayong matapos, promise po. Because of close researcher involvement, the researcher gains an insider's view of the field. It's a grassroots approach. Hindi lang tungkol sa buhay, it's not just about the life of the person you're studying with, but of course, the life of the people in the community where your person of interest resides would be involved. This allows the researcher to find issues that are often missed, such as subtleties and complexities by the scientific, more positivistic inquiries, o yung mga bagay po, mga simpleng bagay na winawalang bahala natin, o winawalang bahala ng gobyerno, o ng pamahalaan. Lahat po yun makikita niyo. Lahat po yun mag-uugat sa mga bagay na mas importante pa. And another thing is that, I keep on telling this, that your paper is a reflection of social reality. Ang katotohanan nangyayari sa lipunan ay masasalamin ng iyong qualitative research. Directly or indirectly, time would come that you would realize, kaya pala ganito yung mga tao rito kasi ganun. At bakit? Kasi ganito. Again, it's a reflection of a social reality. Again, qualitative research and your relationship status with qualitative research, reminder lang, it is full of surprises, and it is, compared to quantitative research, it is more complicated. Parang pagsha-shopping lang yan ng babae tsaka lalaki. Ayan. Yung quantitative, yung lalaki, yung asul. Pag namili, alam agad. Tignan nyo po yung pula. Babae, qualitative. Ay, pasensya na kayo mga ate ha, mga misis, pasensya na. Totoo lang po ito. Ha? Totoo lang po ito. Pero, mas sure. Mas sulit. Ay, mas mura din eh. Ay, mas maganda ire. Diba? Ay, makabalik nga doon. Naku, teka, parang mas okay yung sapatos doon. Pero, pagod, naikot ang buong mall sa isang pair ng sapatos, pero sulit. Ganon si qualitative. Lahat na nagtanan, malalaan mo sa baryo. Para kang kapitan de barangay. No? Pero sulit. Kasi napatunayan mo, bakit ganito to mag-behave yung tao na to, yung subject mo. Eto, mas maayos pa to kung tutuusin, no? Mas systematic pa tong pagsha-shopping ng babae. Sa totoong buhay, ganito yan. Ayan. Ganyan kagulo. Pero tignan nyo yung quantitative na lalaki. Oh, green, diretso lang. 'Di ba? Pero, mga ma'am, tama po ba? Tama po. Ano? Naku, tumatango si Ma'am Vivian. At kumakaway pa. Si Ma'am Jennifer nangingiti, nagigilty ata. Ayan. Kaya ayaw pong samahan kayo ng mga asawa nyo, eh. Kaya mas ginugusto pang magtupa daw, eh. Di ba? Ay, Diyos ko, ay, pustahan, petsay lang ang bibilin, nakalimang tindahan. pechay lang ang bibili. Pag naluto naman, pare-pareho ng itsura. Aminin nyo. Ganun po. Pero kasi, may mga bagay na nanay lang nakakaalam. Di ba? May mga bagay na nanay lang makakasagot. May mga bagay na qualitative research lang ang makakapagpatunay na hindi kayang gawin ni quantitative. Tama po. Okay. General tips lang po, my last topic. No, in writing your qualitative research, you do the pre-writing activities. Dahil napaka-crucial na dapat mayaman ka sa words, na hindi ka nauubusan ng salita, you have to do the first one, reading. Wala pong shortcut. There's no shortcut for you to have rich vocabulary, especially in English, but just to read. Read a lot, and read more. No? The quality of your writing depends on the quantity of your reading. The quality of your writing depends on the quantity of your reading. Ang kalidad ng iyong naisulat ay nakadepende sa dami ng iyong nabasa. Kaya wala kang maisulat kasi hindi ka nagbabasa. No. But just in simple essay, you cannot expound your idea because you actually do not know about the topic because you do not read at all. So how dare we require our pupils and students to read if we ourselves do not read? We're not giving justice to the educational system. Diba? You know what? Way back in 2018, I was invited in Ifugao State University to deliver, of course, then a lecture about instructional materials and copyright. The venue was in their library, and there was a quotation that says, if you want to write one good book, just one good book, you need to read the entire library. If you want to write just one good book, you need to read the entire library. It's an hyperbole, it's an exaggeration, but it makes sense. You know, great authors in history were once readers first, and they read voraciously. They read voraciously. Yes, there are many available reading materials online, but for me, I still prefer the physical books. I still buy the physical books. I don't want to read it in my Kindle or in my iPad. I don't want. Because of the smell. Habang naluluma yung libro, mas gusto ko siyang inaamoy. In our house po, I have a mini library. So whenever I feel so tired, I just go near closer to the old books and smell them. I mean, that's my shabu. It gives me relaxation. It gives me high. Yeah. And to partner with the brewed coffee. Perfect. Again, the quality of your writing depends on the quantity of your reading. The second one is researching. My former professor, the late Dr. Fe Otanes in the Philippine Normal University she said that if you want to see the beauty of the panorama, stand on the shoulder of the giants. Stand on the shoulder of the giants. What does it mean? Kung gusto mo makita ang ganda ng kawalan, tumuntong ka sa balikat ng mga higante. Kung gusto mo makita ang ganda ng ginagawa mo, kung gusto mo makita ang dahilan kung ba't ka pa nandiyan, 'di ba? Sa ginagawa mo, tumuntong ka. Tumuntong ka sa shoulder, sa balikat ng mga higante. Ibig sabihin, you read the works of those giants on that field. 'Di ba? You research it kasi kailangan in doing it, you have to begin with an end in mind. You have to begin with an end in mind. Kailangan makita mo na sa isip mo ano yung katapusan ng qualitative research mo, ano yung resulta, ano yung possible results ng qualitative research mo para on doing the details, you would be guided more. Diba? You have to begin with an end in mind. Dati, gustong-gusto mo lang magka-iPhone. Ngayon, nakakadalawang iPhone ka na. Diba? Dati, gustong-gusto mo lang magka-boyfriend. No, ngayon, asawa mo na yung boyfriend mo. Dati, gustong-gusto mo lang magturo, pero ngayon, sawang-sawa ka na, diba? Hindi, joke lang po. You have to begin with an end in mind. Okay, that's how we do it. That's how we do it. The third one is interviewing. Although it's part of the qualitative research, we still need to talk to people. We still need to talk to people because not everything is written yet. Sir, nagbasa na ako. Sir, nag-research na ako. Ba't kailangan ko pa makipag-usap sa tao? Yes, napakaraming tao na palakad-lakad sa mundong ito, na mayaman sa kaisipan, na mayaman sa dunong, pero walang naisulat na libro. Your parents, your children, your co-teachers, di ba? Your grannies, they have rich wisdom, but they have not written, they have not published any single book. That's why you still need to talk to people. The fourth one is brainstorming. Brainstorming. You know what? Bakit ba mahirap magsulat? Kasi writing is something that we do alone. At ang mga Pilipino ayaw mag-isa. Ayaw mag-isa. Tignan niyo po yung mga high school students niyo, mga junior high school students niyo. Lahat sila gusto maging independent, no? Ang kakapal ng mukha, ang lalakas ng loob. Akala nila ganun lang kadali ang buhay. They clamor for independence, but ironically, they cannot go to the comfort room alone. Diba? Lagi may kasama, but they want to be independent. Ang Pinoy ganun, takot tayong kumain mag-isa, takot tayong manood ng sine mag-isa. Diba? Kaya nahihirapan tayong magsulat kasi writing is something that we do in solitude, in solitary, and nobody wants to be alone. I don't want to be alone. Do you want to be alone? I don't want to be alone. Diba? Even if we are far away from our friends already, before we go to sleep, we still connect via Facebook. We still chat, we still read the messages. That's also a connection because we don't want to be alone. Brainstorming. Sige nga po, sa faculty room nyo po, pagpasok nyo po ng faculty room, ilan po sa mga co-teachers nyo nagsusulat? Halos wala. Ilan po sa kanila nagchichismisan? Kasama ka pa. Diba? Kasi we are speakers than writers. Kasi historically, we learned how to speak first before we even how to write. Diba? Kaya why not gawin nating intellectual yung chismisan? Ganito yan. Pag kami mga bagong teachers, tsaka mga seasoned teachers, ayoko sabihin matatandang teachers, hindi naman tumatanda ang mga teachers, no? Mga seasoned teachers, ayan, malasang-malasa na yan. Marami ng seasoning yan. Laging may separation ng church and state. Mga batang teachers, mga seasoned teachers. At may kanya-kanya tayong yabang, di ba? Di ba? Sasabihin ng mga seasoned teachers, kahit nakapikit, nakatahaya, nakatuwad, kaya kong ituro yan. 30 years ko nang tinuturo yan. Diba? Siyempre, hindi naman magpapahuli yung mga bagong teachers. Mainit-init pa yung diploma ko. Alam ko ang state of the art. At higit sa lahat, kaya kong gumawa ng PowerPoint presentation. At magsuma ng grade gamit ng Excel. Na hindi kayang gawin ng mga thunders. Again, we learn from one another. We brainstorm. Okay. The next one is that, again, you need to prepare your draft. You need to prepare your draft. May sasabihin po ako sa inyo, pwede nyo pong kalimutan lahat ng sinabi ko. Wag lang po ito. Wag lang po ito. Meaning is more important than form. Meaning is more important than form. Ang kahulugan ay higit na mahalaga kaysa kayarian. In writing your qualitative research, remember that perfection always comes the last. No? Kasi sa dinami-dami na natatagpuan mo, na natutuklasan mo, nagkakagulo na yan dito sa isip mo. So when you write, just go write it. Never mind the grammar, never mind the spelling, no? Never mind the language. Kung Taglish, have it Taglish. Kung lalagyan mo ng Kapampangan, have it amalgamated by languages. Kasi draft pa lang siya. Ang importante, mailagay mo yung meaning sa papel. Kasi pag in-entertain mo yung maling spelling, mathwart na yung flow ng idea. Blah, 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 occasion. Ako, ano bang spell ng occasion? Double C ba? Double S? Tinanong mo yung co-teacher mo sa kaliwa. Hoy, Mare. Ayan, Mare kayo, di ba? Hoy, Mare, ano bang spell ng occasion? Double C ba? Double S? Double C ba? Sabi niya, naku, parang double I. Kunyeta. Lalo na nagulo. Double I? Basta nga pala to sa akin. Blah, blah, blah. Who is best? Oh, best mo naman yung nasa kaliwa mo. Anong spelling ng occasion? Double C ba? Double S? Hoy, best, tatluhin mo na para sure. Tinatlo na yung letters. Ay, yun pala yung spelling. Ay, naku, nawala na ako. Hindi po nawala. Hindi po nawawala ang idea. Nandito po talaga yon. Na-thwart lang. Na-black lang. Remember po that our brain works faster than our hand. No? Kaya pa nagsusulat sa board, minsan may kulang na salita. Mapapansin ng mga estudyante. Kasi mas matulin po itong gumagawa. Kaya have it, never mind muna po yung mga convention, yung mga technicalities, isalin mo muna yung meaning. No? At sa pagsusulat po, use words that are easy to understand. Okay? Kaya maraming bumibili ng libro ng mga sikat na author kasi madaling intindihin yung salita nila. Kaya maraming magbabasa ng research mo kasi madaling intindihin yung mga salita. Kahit naman sa klase, walang magrereklamo na ganito. Huy, grabe yung pinabasa sa atin ni ma'am, no? Ang daling intindihin. Pero lahat ng bata magrereklamo kapag, uy, grabe yung pinabasa sa atin ni ma'am, no? Kailangan mo talaga ng 3 dictionary tsaka guidance ng Holy Spirit para maintindihan mo siya. We teach to express and not to impress, di ba? We also research to express. Again, it's a reflection of social stories of people in the community. Make your statements brief and substantial. Make your statements brief and substantial. One of my students asked me, "Sir, how brief is brief?" Then I answered, "Brief is brief, that it only covers the most important part." I do not know what brief is on your mind, but the definition remains the same. That it only covers the most important part. Hindi na po tayo pahabaan. No, hindi po tayo pahabaan hindi na po tayo 14th century to 17th century na ang isang sentence ay may 60 words. Ngayon po, average po ng 12 to 20 words per sentence. I'm not telling that you count the words per sentence, no. No, average lang po yun. Pag tingnan niyo po, kapag po ba tinanggal ko tong word na to, mababago ba yung meaning? Pag hindi, tanggalin niyo na. Ito bang phrases na to? Ito bang sentence na to, pag tinanggal ko, mababago ba? Pag hindi, tanggalin niyo na. Ito bang paragraph na to, pag tinanggal ko, okay. Patignan niyo po, walang matitira. Joke lang po. Again, hindi na po pahabaan. Ba't kasi ang mga Pinoy gano'n, no? Para lang ma-maximize yung margin, maglalagay ng mga noun articles na a o the. Para lang yung bungi sa space ay mapunan. Most of our students are like that. Tama po ba? Tignan niyo po, yung statement na, I bought a book and I bought the book. I bought a book and I bought the book. A and the lang ang pinagkaiba. No, A and the lang, but the meaning is different. When we say, "Huy, I bought a book," yung kausap mo walang idea kung anong book 'yun. "Huy, I bought a book." But when you say, "Huy, I bought the book," alam niya agad kung anong book 'yun. Kasi the yung ginamit. Ibig sabihin yung book na 'yon, pinag-uusapan nyo kanina o kahapon. See, A and the lang, naiiba yung meaning. Kaya we don't abuse the use of those noun articles. I bought a book, general. Anong book? I bought the book. Okay. Specific. No. Mga Pinoy ganun eh. Ayaw natin ng empty spaces. Sa psychology, ang tawag natin dyan, horror vacui. Horror vacui, fear of empty spaces. Tignan nyo po yung mga traditional na nanay sa bahay nila. 'Di ba? Lumang washing machine, lumang electric fan, lumang ref na naging lagayan na ng malibag. Nandoon pa din. Tapos po yung nanay ko, may luma kaming ref. Sabi ko, itapon na natin ito. Tapos kung manganak-niyak pa, "Anak, bakit mo naman itatapon? Ito ang unang pundar namin ng ama mo." Sabi ko, Diyos ko, Lord. Nakakadagdag lang naman ng alikabukin. Tignan niyo po yung mga teachers na yan. 5 taon na yung project, yung pa rin ang sample niya. Hindi niya tinatapon. Diba? Kaya lahat ng teacher may hika sa alikabok. fear of empty spaces. Na. Question po. So far. Wala po. Alam niyo po kasi, kami kasi sa US, wow, kami talaga sa US, hindi po. The Westerners po, ang concept nila ng luma, 1 taon. 1 taon. Pag 1 taon, papalitan na yung gamit. Kaya yung asawa niyo po, kung wala na po pakinabang ng 1 taon, pwede niyo na pong palitan. Hindi. Joke lang po yan. Joke lang po. Again, Life is like a box of chocolates. You, you never know what you're going to get. Qualitative research is like that. You know, when you immerse yourself in the field, pag nandoon na kayo sa lugar ng pag-aaral nyo, sa lugar kung saan nakatira yung mga tao, yung taong pag-aaralan nyo, you'll appreciate more the chocolates that you learned today. Just like that, it's a box of chocolate, may archived email, maraming details na makukuha. Because again, surprises, it may be complicated, but its complication makes it real. And it's being complicated makes it even more beautiful. Thank you very much.
All right. Wow, that was very engaging, exciting, and humorous
Thank you po.
quantitative research theories, no? And of course the students of Mekawayan College are very happy that they listen to another perspective in writing a research paper, which is qualitative research paper, design rather. At this point, we would like to open the Zoom platform.
Yes, please.
Clarificatory questions that you would like to ask our guest lecturer for this morning. Anyone? Anyone, please?
Gusto ko lang pong idagdag, no? The concept of triangulation is very much important in qualitative research. So, ito po yung sinasabi ko na interviewing is not enough. You still need to do participant observation. And then you still need to do a sort of survey, no? Triangulation po. The minimum requirement is 3 approaches lagi in qualitative. May interview, may participant observation, no? And may observation itself, no? So triangulation, ang tawag po natin dun ay triangulation approach. Questions po?
That's the beauty of the sharing of Dr. Castro this morning about qualitative, so that you would have a taste of another taste next Saturday of quantitative, and you'll be able to compare the huge difference in terms of its approaches, no?
Yes po.
Kasi talaga magkaiba ang qualitative and quantitative. And as mentioned by Dr. Castro, wala namang better than the other. Parang it will always depend on your main objective, of course, and what you try to present, the topic that you were able to select. No? Any more clarificatory question to Dr. Castro? Meron po ba tayong mga katanungan? You can unmute your audio and then you may ask your question. Para marinig naman yung boses mo, para hindi kami dalawa lang ang nagsasalita dito sa Zoom platform.
Sir, may tanong po ako.
Sure.
Yes, Ma'am Zona.
Sir, pag po ba na-qualitative research talaga bang kailangan yung ganong katagal, or po pwede akong gumamit ng through doodling? For example, mga co-teachers ko naman yung gagawin kong ano.
Kung magkasama po kayo sa school, sa faculty room po,
Opo.
pwede naman po yun. Pero there would be episodes in your study which you need to also observe personal activities, ma'am. So
okay
perhaps
po.
a week together or 2 weeks together with that person would be enough. Especially kung kasama mo naman siya sa faculty room.
Sir, parang ang ano ko po kasi is parang the joy of teaching certain subject. Tapos parang the joy of teaching po, ano ba po, yung teaching numeracy. Tapos po, ang gagamitin ko po is through doodling or pagdodrawingin ko po sila, parang ganon. So para doon po nila ma-express yung, pwede po ba yung ganon?
Yung, I mean, your respondent would be your pupils po.
No, mga
students.
ano po, mga teachers po. Teachers.
Kasi ma'am, parang experimental na po siya. No, parang experimental study siya. So quantitative yun, ma'am. May controlled group ka, may experimental group ka po.
Okay po. Sir, kasi po nung nag-aral po ako sa UST before college, nag-qualitative research din po kami. Then, ang ginamit po namin is true doodling. So kung
Doodling,
ngayon,
yes po.
Opo. So kung ano ko po sana, kung po pwede ko siyang gawin or ngayon for ano
Pwede
po kaya
naman, pwede naman po, ma'am. May mga ika-quantify lang po tayong instances po. I believe Dr. Nuki, upon seeing the paper, could determine po what's missing and what's lacking.
Okay po.
Apo.
Okay po,
In
sir.
doing
Sir,
your qualitative.
thank you po, Doc. Thank you po.
Welcome po.
I'd like to add to the explanation of Dr. Castro that he highlighted that in doing qualitative research paper, you need not to have many respondents. No? Sabi niya nga, kahit isa lang, ay pwede na for as long as that person or that subject or key informant would have the greatest characteristics of the topic that you would like to get. No? Kaya importante yung selection of your respondent, of your key informant rather. And another thing, he mentioned also many ways in which informations could be gotten from your respondents, and not only through interview. One of the highlights of the qualitative research paper is an immersion. Immersion. You need to know, you need to be involved in the daily activities of the subject, of the key informant. That's why it's kind of challenging in the sense na talaga maglilive ka sa trabaho mo kasi you will be immersed with that person. Or kung dalawa yan, siguro makikitira ka sa bahay nila.
Yes po.
Para
Yes po.
yung halos araw-araw na ginagawa nila. So it's challenging but it's very interesting, no? Na design.
Saka magastos po talaga.
Medyo kasi siyempre, pag nakitira ka doon, unang-una, magastos, ipapasuwab mo yung sarili mo, papasuwab mo na. Pangalawa, hindi ka pwede makitira doon ng libro. Siyempre, magdadala ka rin ng pagkain. And as a form of acknowledgement for their appreciation rather, siyempre magdadala ka ng something for them. So magastos talaga. At mawawalan ka ng trabaho for how many days? Kasi nga mag-immerse ka.
Yes. Yes po. Ako nag-leave ako, Doc, 1 year, study leave.
1 year, yeah.
Opo, for my thesis. Si Mark Joseph ata may tanong.
Mark Joseph, please.
Estudyante ko kasi to, sir eh. Sa undergrad, opo.
Mark Joseph, where are you?
Ano lang po siguro, si Sir, nagulat ako sa iyo, Sir. Question ko lang po, may bukod po ba na format ang qualitative research? Kasi po ang nabigay po sa amin format po ay quantitative. Baka po may bukod po silang format or dito po sa MC. Meron po bang bukod po na format or kumbaga yung division po nung chapter po kasi na baka po
Ideally, Sir Mark, dapat talaga may bukod na format po for pure quantitative, for pure qualitative, and for mix. Quanti and quali. Pero hindi ba kayo nag-iimrad na, sir, sa MC?
Yeah, I'd like to answer the question of Mark Joseph that each institution has its own format in presenting their thesis or dissertation papers. Meron mga school na chapters 1 to 4, chapters 1 to 5, meron mga chapters 1 to 7. So, para naman sa akin, kahit gano'ng karaming chapters yan, it's not about the number of chapters, but it's the substance, the contents of the paper on whether you are able to attack the appropriate research design and you were able to discuss with depth yung inyong data analysis, no? So we will not argue on the different formats because for now, you are enrolled at Mekawayan College, and if the policy of Mekawayan College is the use of chapters 1 to 4 for the 3 designs, either quanti, quali, or mixed, we will not argue with them. Kasi when I was still at La Consolacion, chapters 1 to 5 naman ang format doon. So may format tayo. If Bolso is utilizing
1 to 5 din, sir, for quanti.
Ayun.
Yung traditional 1 to 5 po.
Ayun. So in terms of format, Mark Joseph, I do not want to argue with that. Kasi that is what you call institutional policy that we cannot debate right now. ang pinakamagandang natutunan natin ngayon is the approach on how this qualitative research design can be done, no? Talagang ibang-iba siya sa quanti. Later on, next week malalaman nyo kay Dr.
Yes.
kung paano naman ginagawa ang quanti. So that's a good question, Mark Joseph.
Thank you po.
So nagbulso ka, naglako ka ngayon, college ka, and you're now exposed to the different form and style of the three institutions. But bear in mind that formats are requisites, but more important than the format would be the
Content.
substance and the content of your paper.
Thank you po.
Thank you. That's a good question. Any more?
Sir, ako po, last na. Natanong ko lang po, sir, kay Doc Rowell, kung nakamagkano po siya, sir, sa masters niya na yun. Para magkaroon po kami ng insights kung magkano.
Okay. Ang magastos kasi sa akin, Bunso, yung mga annex expenses po. Tulad nung naubusan na ako ng damit kasi na-arbor na nila. Tapos mga 2:00, may kakatok sa'yo kasi kailangan ng pambili ng alak, ganon. Tapos yung mga pagkain ng mga bata. Kasi totoo yun na may pumapasok na hindi na kumakain, na hindi nakakaligo. So, pagka ginawa ko silang subject, so kahit pampalubag loob man lang. Siguro, sir, 2013, 2014, malaki na po yung kinumpute ko yan, sir. If I remember it right, naka 300 ako, sir. Rough estimate yan. Pati yung mga damit na na-arbor, mga chinelas, ganon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Opo.
I think that's also a good question so that you will be able to prepare those logistics, no? Yeah. Pero right now sa Mekawayan College, if you're gonna compute your tuition fee together with the defenses fee, and if you are really your own writer, ibig sabihin ikaw talaga ang gumagawa ng paper mo, wala kang ghost writer, ay hindi ka naman siguro, lalo ngayon pandemic, of course we will be very careful with immersion thing. Kaya nga dibanjo ko kanina, kailangan nyo muna magpasuwab. Ikaw at saka yung pupuntahan mo kasi face-to-face right now is definitely not allowed as per IATF. That is why kung maaari sana puro online data gathering muna eh. Just for you to be safe naman. So yung immersion na sinasabi ng qualitative, we will go into that activity once pandemic is negative na sa atin. So,
yes. Opo.
but of course, qualitative can still be done, no? Using online platform. If you are creative enough, i-convert mo lang naman yung face-to-face activity into online activity. Pwede pa rin naman 'yon.
Yeah. Sa mga magka-qualitative, mangpupurso ng qualitative talaga, or unintentionally ay napunta kayo ng qualitative dahil sa pagkikritik ni Dr. Nuki, I'm very much willing to assist po, no, to those who would ask po for help and assistance, kasi medyo talaga siya, medyo complicated po kung paano ika-craft. Pero syempre, Dr. Nuki would be the one to decide kung ano bang mas maganda dito, kung quanti ba or quali or mix. Pero on quali part po, ayan, I'm very much willing to assist po sa mga magpupurso po ng quali.
Yeah, that is for sure. When somebody proposes a qualitative research paper, of course, Dr. Castro will be part of the team now.
Yes po. Very much willing po, Doc.
He has good experiences about writing qualitative research paper. Anything more? We have more questions to Dr. Castro. 11:58, we still have 2 more minutes. Wala na, malinaw na. Malinaw. So I've read very good comments from our MAED students, Dr. Castro, from your presentation this morning, and they appreciated much the new knowledge informations that you've shared to them as regards to the writing or tips for writing qualitative research paper. And can we give Dr. Castro a digital applause para naman maramdaman ni Dr. Castro yung ating warm appreciation sa kanya. Pa-digital, pa-emoticons nga po. Ayan, maraming salamat po. And of course, yung ating pang-Jollibee kay Dr. Castro, ipapadala ko na lang sa kanya to follow. yung ating form of appreciation din sa kanyang sharing ay syempre hindi naman natin makalimutan ni Dr. Castro. And we will still invite you in our future activities, especially if the topic is within your line of specialization.
Thank you
Pero
po.
walang katanong-tanong, talagang ang qualitative ay nasa puso at diwa mo. Talagang kabisado mo ang mga reminders, tips, processes, and principles in writing a qualitative research paper. And we will invite you once one of these students will propose a qualitative research paper. All right? So if there are no more questions, indeed, we learned a lot from our guest lecturer this morning. And this is not the first and last. No? Marami pang darating na time na may invite natin si Dr. Castro despite his busy schedule at Bulacan State University. So once again, our heartfelt thanks to you, Dr. Castro, and hope to see you again. Maraming salamat po. All right. Thank you.
Sir, pwede po ba magpa-picture po sa lab?
Sure.
Together with Sir Rowell.
We will have a gallery review picture with Dr. Castro, okay?
Thank you po.
Ready nyo yung camera nyo and at the count of 3, para yung smile ni Dr. Castro ay nasa screen. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right.
Thank you, Doc Rowell and Doc
Thank you.
Alvin.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day in advance, everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day at magpa-book na kagad kayo para hindi ng kwarto sa mga pupuntahan.
Dr. Nuki, linawin natin yung booking na yan. Dr. Nuki, baka kung anong gawin ng mga to. Sa hotel, ayan, sa restaurants, ha? Jezreel, baka kung anong gawin mo.
Baka naman nagko-qualitative sila is data gathering doon. Mag-i-interview sila ng
Yes.
lang doon sa mga naka-check-in. How does it feel to be inside the room?
Interesting. Can I be the advisor?
Pwede.
Or the respondent, perhaps?
Like nandun, Dr. Castro.
Hindi pa. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope to see you again very soon.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank
you, Doc.
So for our students, we will just pause for a while, lunch break, 12 to 1. And at 1 p.m. we will resume with another topic discussion about American Psychological Association or APA 7 style at 1 p.m. later. No? So pwedeng hindi na kayo umalis sa platform, ipo-pause ko lang muna and then 1 p.m. start na ulit tayo. Good afternoon.
Napag-lunch na po.
I hope you had a good lunch. Isang oras din yun, mukhang marami kayo nakain. And
Doc, hello po. Nice song, Doc. Galing niyo po pumili.
I'm sorry. All right, so we will now continue with our series of webinar. As I was mentioning, for our class not to be monotonous, baka kasi nagsasawa na kayo sa akin. So I crafted a program, no? A research webinar series program, and I humble knowledge and expertise as regards to the topic that was assigned to them. No? And of course, the very purpose of this webinar series is to further enhance your research knowledge and skills in preparation for your defense or defenses. I will highlight that at Mekawain College, there are only two defenses, and they are proposal defense, which is composed of chapters 1 and 2, and final defense later on will be composed of chapters 3 and 4. But for you to be able to come up with a quality scientific research paper, you need to be guided by the following topics that we identified in our research webinar series. And this morning, we had a very good discussion through Dr. Castro with regards to qualitative research design. And I hope you appreciated the theory and the processes that are employed in writing a qualitative research paper. Nevertheless, if you're going to use quantitative, wala namang problema doon. Either quali or quanti, those methodologies are both acceptable, no? And another equally important topic or knowledge that you need to learn in writing your research paper is the use of American psychological style in writing a scientific research paper. And at Mekawain College, APA style is the form and style that is currently being utilized. And the reason why I am giving this series of webinar to you, for you to be guided on what to be done for your research paper. And of course, for you to be motivated, to be further motivated to read. No? Kaya nga sabi natin, when we write research paper, we need to read a lot. No, we cannot write something if we have not read anything yet. Kaya reading is very important. And supplementary to your reading, baka kasi naboboring kayo sa pagbabasa, and I know how busy DepEd teachers are, especially now that you are the ones printing the modules, you're the ones entertaining the parents when they get the modules, and you're the ones receiving the completed modules at the end of the week. So I know how busy you are. Ang nawala lang sa inyo ngayon yung actual teaching process. But for some schools who are employing blended or online learning, meron pa rin silang online learning. So nagkakaroon pa rin sila ng actual teaching process or processes. But for some public schools, I think they are purely modular, no? Purely modular approach. And I do not want to add up to your burden, the stresses and the coping mechanisms that you are encountering right now. So to further help you understand the principle behind writing a scientific research paper, I invited people to share their knowledge about the topic that we are able to identify. And please take note also that our learning in research and statistics, including seminar on research, our methodologies will be two-pronged approaches. No, one is synchronous. Today is an example of asynchronous learning, and then those videos, lectures that are uploaded in my YouTube channel, kindly browse them. kindly listen to them, because some of some of the topics in research are already present in the YouTube channel, and I will not repeat them. All you need to do is just to listen to them. What I will be having for the entire semester would be giving you a discussion about the topics that are not yet present in the YouTube channel. But for those topics that are already available in the YouTube channel, all you need to do is to, of course, watch them and learn from them. No? Okay lang po ba? Pa-thumbs up nga po kung okay sa inyo, yung emoticons natin na thumbs up. Kung okay sa inyo yung current setup natin. Alright. Okay, very good. So marami nag-thumbs up. Sa mga hindi nag-thumbs up, okay lang po. Okay lang po. But for now, I'd like you to be updated on the style, the APA style in writing your research paper. Before, the APA is only on its 6th edition. But today, there is already the 7th edition. And what Professor Casimiro will share with you later on would be the highlights of the updates, on the style, the form and style of the American Psychological Association. And this APA style is worldwide in terms of its usage. If you would like to publish your research paper in the future, APA is the most commonly utilized style. No? So without further ado, one of our speakers today is Professor Casimiro, who is also a research advocate, knowledgeable in research and skillful, of course, and at the same time holding several positions in the basic education and other international organizations. And siguro, Professor Casimiro will shortly introduce himself later, and then he will proceed with his discussion. After the discussion, we will open the Zoom platform for some clarificatory questions that may be answered by Professor Casimiro or by yours truly. No? So pwede ako sumagot sa mga magiging tanong ninyo. Alright? So without further ado, I would like to turn over the platform, Zoom platform, to Professor Casimiro. Sir? Yung audio mo parang hindi naririnig. Mayroon kang technical problem sa iyong audio, Sir Casimiro. Hindi ka namin naririnig. Sige, while waiting for you, wala pa rin. Kindly fix your audio, hindi ka namin marinig. So while waiting for you, for those who are enrolled in EDUC 208, I am asking you to please, as early as this month, to have your chapters 1 and 2 be checked. No, I already posted in our GC. The day of checking will be on February 9. If you have something that you have started, please do not hesitate to schedule yourself. I am not expecting a perfect proposal paper when you come to me for checking. Kahit draft pa lang at meron na kayong chapters 1 and 2, dalhin nyo na para ma-check ko na, para ma-schedule ko na kayo for a proposal defense. Remember that you are more or less 90, nearly 100 who are enrolled in EDUC 208. Kasi ang magiging problem ninyo pag hindi kayo na-schedule within the trimester, next trimester, you need to re-enroll the subject. Sayang naman. Pag sinabing re-enroll, di ba magbabayad na naman kayo para dun sa EDUC 208. And I do not want you to...
Am I audible now, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. I use my phone instead of laptop.
Turkey, tapusin ko lang. And I do not want you to pay another enrollment fee for your EDUC 208 next year. So again, I saw about 4 students who scheduled themselves for checking on February 9. Kung meron pang madadagdag, the better. No? Sumama na kayo for for checking. I already posted my address in the GC, and please do not forget to bring your chapters 1 and 2 for checking, no? On February 9. And of course, part of our health protocol, hindi po kayo papasok sa bahay ng sabay-sabay, one at a time lang po. And then meron naman akong waiting area sa labas, yung hindi pa ma-check sa labas muna. And then when you come inside, you have to ensure, don't worry, hindi ko kayo ipapaswab, pero you have to ensure na mag-mask na lang at saka mag-face shield, no? Pag pumasok sa loob ng aking munting bahay, ng aking maliit na bahay.
Sa mansion.
Pagpapasensya nyo na yung aking bahay, no? Tapos, para hindi kayo magutom, bring your own baon na lang kasi kasi tubig lang ang kaya ko ipainom sa inyo. Baka magutom kayo habang nagpapacheck. So, pwede kayong kumain sa waiting area habang naghihintay. So, I am expecting more names to appear in the list of those who will be submitting their paper for checking, so that once you submit your paper for checking on February 9 and the paper is okay, you will be scheduled on February 14. So pasensya na kayo, kahit Valentine's Day, kayo ay magpo-proposal defense sa February 14 para maging, yun ang pinakaregalo nyo sa sarili nyo sa February 14. Kung walang magre-regalo sa inyo, naregalo niyo yung sarili niyo na kayo ay pumasa na sa proposal defense. No? So now I think Professor Casimiro is ready.
Yes, sir.
All right. So the screen sharing is now available. Professor Casimiro, you can share your PowerPoint, and I'm now giving you the Zoom platform for your presentation. Thank you so much.
Hold on, sir. Sir, I am trying to share screen, but it says that it's error, file not supported. I'm using both my laptop and my phone, but it cannot be played, sir. Can I ask for a bit assistance, sir?
Sige. You send it to me. You send to me your PowerPoint presentation, and I'll try to open it in my laptop. Ako na mag-share. Wait lang po mga kapamilya, kapuso, kabarkada, kabagang, kakosa. Wait lang po kasi nagkakaroon siya ng konting technical difficulty sa kanyang PowerPoint presentation.
Okay lang yan, sir.
Okay lang.
Ganun po talaga kapag live.
I already sent, sir. Anyway, sir, Jezreel was my student.
I'm sorry?
It's already sent, sir, and Jezreel was my student before.
Okay.
Hello, Doc. Hello, sir.
Hello. Sir, I already sent the file, sir. Apologies for having a technical error.
All right, can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sige. Dahil nasa akin ang file mo, ako na ang magmo-move ngayon ng iyong ano.
Sir, sorry. Sorry, sir.
Okay, sige, you may begin now, please.
Okay. I was tasked to discuss APA formatting and style guide, 7th style. So let me first have my slides. Sorry, sir. Apologies again for having technical problems, sir. Okay, the first question that we have to discuss is, of course, what is APA? The American Physiological Association, or APA citation style, is the most commonly used format for manuscripts in the social sciences. APA regulates 3 different variations. First is stylistics. When we talk about stylistics, this is how the manner of writing we are going to implement in either manuscripts, essays, or the research itself. The in-text citations, the references, we are going to have a more elaborative discussion on this. Next po. Okay. There is an APA 6th, 7th edition and 6th edition publication manual. Okay. APA style, point of view, and voice. If you are going to write manuscripts, essays, or what do you call this, researches, we have to take into consideration these 2 factors. First, we have to use personal pronouns where appropriate. See the difference. First, we conducted an experiment. Next, you should avoid writing like this. The authors conducted an experiment. If we're going to write things like this for researches and manuscript, we should be using personal pronouns. Like on the first one, we use we instead of using the authors. Next is using either active or passive voice. I do encourage that we use active voice rather than using passive voice. Let me give you the difference of both two. First, this is the active voice. We ask participants questions. The subject, we, the personal pronoun, the subject, we, the personal pronoun, asks for the verb ask. Now, we should avoid the passive voice. The example is the participants have been asked questions by the researchers. In passive voice, the researchers, which is the subject, has been receiving an action coming from the verb questions, coming from the verb have been asked. So we should be using active rather than passive. Okay, next po. In APA style, language is very much important, and there are 3 factors or 3 variations that we have to take into full consideration. First, we have to be clear. In being clear, it should be specific in descriptions and explanations. I know there are writers who are literary writers and figurative writers, but in writing manuscripts, we should be more technical, specific, and concise. Next is plain. If we are going to write research-related papers, we should use simple descriptive adjectives and minimize figurative languages. There are other writers who are fond of using highfalutin words. Sometimes, of course, we have to use such, but we should take into consideration when and where to use it. A good research paper it will not be considered good by using highfalutin words. It will be more appreciated if we are using a direct, concise, and simple adjectives. Okay? Next is concise, condensed information, what you can, meaning we are, we are making it as simple, as informative as possible. Next, please. Thank you, sir. Apologies again. Okay, there are types of APA papers. One is the literature review. Under the literature review, it contains a summary of what the scientific literature says about the topic of your research. It includes a title page, take note of that, includes a title page, introduction, and list of preferences. An experimental report, which is also under this, it describes your experimental research, while on this, it includes title page, abstract, introduction, method, results discussion, list of references, appendices, tables, and figures. Okay. If we are writing APA papers, there are three things that we have to consider and bear in mind. First, of course, we have to follow the general format. As far as I know, I believe Sir even said earlier that there's a specific format coming from Make Hawaiian College, provided by Dean Alvin Nuki as well. Consult the instructor whenever there are things that you think are vague. Whenever there are things you think that are not clear to you, you better consult your instructor. And there is an APA publications manual available in other libraries, bookstore, in the institution itself. Okay. In general format of the APA, these are the things that we have to consider. First, be type, double space, be printed on standard size paper 8.5 by 11. We have to take into consideration this is the size we have to use, 8.5 by 11. Use one margin on all slides. Use 10, 12 point Times New Roman on a similar font. I was able to read that Arial is also applicable, but I'm not really sure of that because Times New Roman is the one being acknowledged. Okay. It includes a page header, title in the upper left hand of every page, and a page number in the upper right hand side of every page. If you are writing a manuscript draft, APA suggests using two spaces. Take note, APA suggests two spaces if you are writing a manuscript draft between sentences to aid readability. Readability is very much important because it's going to be lesser relevant if you are not going to read it in a very clear manner. Next, please. Okay. General format of APA includes also your essay should include 4 major sections. References can always be seen in all research-related matters. References, main body, abstract, and title page. Okay, this is an example, although the paper is very much small and clear, but page header, use insert page header, title flash left plus page number flash right. The title, it should be in the upper half of the page, centered, name plus affiliation. This is the common page, the front page that you see whenever you are writing or seeing a thesis or dissertation. The page header, do not include running head. Always remember, do not include running head. When writing an abstract, it should be centered at the top of the page. Write a 150 to 250 word summary of your paper in an accurate, concise, and specific manner. When we talk about abstract, this is the summary of your work, including the methods, the methodologies, the summary of your study, and all. Okay. When we talk about main body, the number of the first text page as page number 3, type and center the title page of the study, type the text double space with all sections following each other without break, identify the sources you use in the paper in parenthetical in text citation. Always remember to identify the sources because that's very much important in writing a research. Format tables and figures. Okay, in writing a references page, these are the things that we have to consider. First, center the title, references at the top of the page. Do not bold it. So as you can see on the example, it's on the center. Double space references entries. As you can see, it has used double spacing. Flash left the first line of the entry and indent subsequent lines. Order entries alphabetically by the author's name. If you are going to analyze the example, there are lots of authors presented on this, but it's alphabetically arranged. When writing a reference or references, make sure that all the authors or the name of the authors or surnames of the authors are alphabetically arranged. These are the basics of the references. First, invert authors' names. Last name first followed by initials. Smith, that's the last name if you're going to write references. write the last name, then the initials of the person, JQ. Like for example, my name is Kib Ozia Casimiro. So it will be Casimiro K.O. Okay? Alphabetized reference list, as I mentioned this a while ago, that we have to alphabetically arrange. Capitalize only the first letter of the first word of a title and subtitle. The first word after a colon or a dash in the title, and proper nouns. Do not capitalize the first letter of the second word in a hyphenated compound word. Capitalize all major words in journal titles. Italicize titles of longer works such as books and journals. Take note of the third. Do not italicize, underline, or put quotes around the titles of shorter works such as journal articles or essays in edited collections. Okay? In making a references list, anyway, this topic is very much easy if we're going to focus on how to write it. Okay? This is one of the easiest topics in researches. This is one of the easiest doings in researches that we can encounter if we are going, as what Dean Alvin Nuki has said, if we are going to read the specifics of the topic. APA is a complex system of citation. When compiling the reference list, the strategy below might be useful. These are the following strategies that we have to take into consideration. First, identify the source, the type of source. Is it a book, a journal article, a web page? We have to differentiate, or we have to know what kind of source we are using for reference list. Okay? Is it a book? Is it a journal or a web page? Find a sample of citing this type. Okay, let's omit number 2. Mirror the sample and make sure that the entries are listed in the alphabetical order and the subsequent lines are indented. It has been mentioned a while ago that it should always be alphabetically arranged. Okay, let's now proceed to in-text citations, the basics of in-text citations. Of course, we should not jump to complex topics if we haven't discussed the basics, because the basics is the ladder to the complex ones. Okay? In-text citations help readers locate the cited source in the references section of the paper. Whenever you use a source, provide in parentheses first the author's name and the date of the publication. Later, you will see a sample of what I am discussing now. For quotation and close the paraphrases, provide the author's name, date of publication, and a page number. When quoting, take note of this, formatting quotations. When quoting, introduce the quotation with a signal phrase. Make sure to include the author's name, the year of publication, the page number, but keep the citation brief. Do not repeat the information. See the first example. Caruth. Caruth is the name of the author, the surname of the author, followed by close open parenthesis, which is the year of publication. Okay. Next is a traumatic response frequently entails a delayed, uncontrolled, repetitive appearance of hallucinations and other intrusive phenomena. The name of the author, the surname of the author, is inside the close open parenthesis. This is writing it in the other way, Caruth, then followed by the year of publication, 1996, followed by the page 11. Okay, when we talk about the, what do you call this? The signal phrase, this is the phrase that signals before you are going to see the year of publication and the surname of the author. Okay, formatting a summary or paraphrase. It provides, it should be provides. It provides the author's last name and the year of publications is parenthesis after a summary or a paraphrase. Let's see the example. Though feminist studies focus solely on the woman's experience, they err by collectively perpetuating the masculine-centered impression. See, the author's last name is inside the parenthesis, as what I've mentioned in the definition. Fossil is the name of the author, surname of the author, followed by the year of publication, 1975. Include author's name in a signal phrase followed by the year of publication. Let me tell you this, recent the history of warfare has been significantly revised. Where is the signal phrase there? Recent, the history of warfare has been significantly revised. That's the signal phrase by Higonet. That's the author. Take note, ha? Higonet is the author. Year that being published 1987. That et al. We are going to discuss it later. There is a further elaboration on that, so you can better understand why do we write et al. Okay. Marcos is the surname of the author. Okay. Year publication 1989 and Wright and Tate 1997. So later we will be discussing the specifics on how are we going to write if there are more than two authors in a study. When including the quotation in a summary paraphrase, also provide a page number in the parenthesis after the quotation. Take note, according to the feminist researchers, Rape and Tate, 1997, it is no longer true to claim that women's responses to the war have been ignored. The name of the authors are Rape and Tate. The year of the publication is 1997. Okay. The page number is included after the quotation. Where is the quotation? It is no longer true that claim that women's responses to the war have been ignored. Right after, provide the page number, page 2, with an open, close parenthesis. Okay. Formatting questions. Introduce the quotations with the signal phrases. As you can see, according to 2008, that's the signal phrases or the signal words. Next is argued that. Use such as signal verbs as these are examples of signal verbs included in signal phrases. Okay? Acknowledge, contented, maintain, and so others. When you see this, it means to say that that is or those are the signal phrases. Okay? Use the past tense or the present perfect tense of verbs in signal phrases. When the okay. In text citations, this is what I've mentioned. This is what I have mentioned earlier. If there are two or more authors, when the parenthetical citation includes two or more works, order them in the same way they appear in the reference list. The author's name, the year of publication separated by a semicolon. What if, okay, there are two authors, okay? Write the first author, cut through, year of the publication, 2005, put semicolon. As you can see, there's a semicolon after 2005. The next author, Smith, and the year of publication, 2008, and close open parenthesis. If there are two authors, this is one way of writing it. Okay. When citing a work with two authors, use an in-between authors, name in the signal phrase yet, and between their names in parentheses. Okay, as you can see, there are two authors. According to feminist researchers, Rate and N, there's an N, and Tate, and the year of publication, 1997. Okay, another, anyway, the page is included at the last part, page 2, close open parenthesis. Some feminist researchers questions that women's responses to the war have been ignored. See, there is also an end with the two authors, Rain and Tate. After that, you're going to include the year of publication, 1997, and the page 2, close open parenthesis. Okay. What if, earlier we dealt with two authors. What if there are three authors that we have to deal with? When citing a work with 3 to 5 authors, identify all the authors in the signal phrase or in the parenthesis. Take note, ha? Identify all authors in signal phrase or in the parenthesis. If the authors are 3 to 5. First, take a look at the example. Harklaw, the first author. Sigal, the second author. On the third author, you should put and before the third. Harklaw the first, Sigal the second, and before the third. And then the year of publication, 1993. 1999, I'm sorry. In subsequent citations, only use the first author's last name followed by et al. This is what I was mentioning a while ago in the signal phrase or in the parenthesis. If your authors are 5 or more than 5, you can either use, for example, Hart Lau et al., meaning there are authors more than 5, then the year of publication, 1993. Okay, next please. Thank you, sir. When citing a work with 6 and more authors, identify the first author's name followed by et al. If there are more than 6 authors, you just have to indicate the first author, the surname of the first author. Smith is the name of the first author, I suppose. Then use et al. Okay. Then close open parenthesis, the year of publication. Take note of that. If there are more than 6 authors, the first name of the first author should be considered to be the first thing to be written, et al., then the year of publication. Another way of writing it is close open parenthesis, Smith et al. 2006. Okay. When writing a work with 6 and more authors, use the source's full title in the signal phrase and cite the first word of the title followed by the year of the publication in parentheses. Put titles of articles and chapters in quotation marks, italicized according to the books and reports. See, there is a signal phrase according to. That's the signal phrase. The full title that we are referring is the Indiana Jones Federal. Okay? As it was what had mentioned, we should put the full title in the signal phrase. So there it is, according to Indiana Jones Federal. Okay? Followed by the year title, the year publication, which is 2008. When citing an organization, we're talking about organizations here. And citing an organization, the first time when you cite the source, the signal or the phrase or the parenthetical citation, the data collected, that's the signal phrase, the data collected by the Food and Drug Administration. So you see, we included the name of the organization, which is the Food and Drug Administration, and it should be followed by a parenthetical citation of the year of publication, 2008. Next, if the organization has a well-known abbreviation, include the abbreviation in brackets the first time. Now, this is what is telling in this is that, for example, the name of the organization has been used more than once. During the first time that you're going to use it, you should write it in full, Food and Drug Administration, okay? Now, if it will be repeated, you can use the acronym of the organization already, which is FDA. What if there are 2 or more works with the same name, okay? What if they have the same surname or the same surname? There are 2 authors but have the same surnames. When citing authors with the same last names, use the first initials with the last name. For example, they have the same surname, Kakru. On the first author, use the initial of the first name, B. Kakru, which is the first author. Year it was published, 2005. They have the last name. The second author, they have the last name, Kakru. The year of the publication, 2008. You just have to include the initial of the first name of the first author. Okay? When citing 2 or more works by the same authors published in the same year, use lowercase with the year of publication to order the preferences. Smith's 1998, A Study of Adolescent Immigrants. When citing interviews, letters, emails, etc., include the communicator's name. Okay? The fact that it was personal communication and the date of the communication do not include personal communication in the reference list. So let's take a look at the examples, the 2 examples written in here. Kindly analyze. AP Smith also claimed that many of her students had difficulties with APA style. Close open parenthesis. Next, the other example, you can see the difference, kindly analyze, okay? Thank you. Next, please. Okay. What if we are going to talk about electronic sources? When writing an electronic document, whenever possible, cite it in the author date style. Okay. If electronic source lacks page numbers, locate, identify paragraph number, paragraph heading. So as you can see, there is a mind over matter section, paragraph 6. So that is the thing that we have to locate so that it will be easy for the readers or for the writers to locate that. Okay. Next, please. Okay. APA uses a system of 5 heading levels. First, there are 5. Let me read it. The first thing is centered, boldface, uppercase, and lowercase headings. Left, aligned, boldface, uppercase, and lowercase heading. Indented, boldface, lowercase, heading with a period. Indented, boldface, italicized, lowercase, heading with a period. Indented, italicized, lowercase, heading with a period. Regarding the examples of these heading levels, I can send you through email or I can send it to Dean Alvin Nuki, but I know Sir has it. An example of this if ever that you need an actual example. Okay, this is one example of the 5-level heading system. Kindly analyze before we jump into the next slide. Okay, next please, sir. Label tables with an Arabic numeral and provide a title. The label and the title appear on the separate lines above the table flush, left and single space. Cite a source in a note below the table. Table 1, this is an example of a table. Okay, next please. Label figures with an Arabic numeral and provide a title. The label and the title appear on the same line below the figure. So I will not further elaborate on this. There is already an example. As you can see, there's figure 1, internet users in Europe adapted from the European Union and Russia. Statistical comparison by Eurostat Statistical Books 2007, retrieved from, there's the link already. That is an example. Okay, next please. Next please, sir. Okay. As what I have mentioned earlier, this is very much easy. This is one of the easiest topics that we are going to encounter. But sometimes there are professionals who are being confused in this because as what had Dean Nuki said, Dr. Nuki said earlier, we have to take a lot of readings for us to write better. Okay? Thank you, sir. I hope that's clear po.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Casimiro, for that
Thank you, sir.
informative sharing about the APE style that our writers can adopt, can use when they edit or finalize their research paper. So I am expecting that those tips, that those principles in writing your research paper will be incorporated in your paper. No? But before we end our discussion for this afternoon, we would be entertaining questions from our students, from our MAED students. Any clarifications as to the use of APA style in writing your chapters 1 and 2? I think one of the highlights of the discussion is that whenever you make in-text citations, you do not forget the surname of the author and the year of publication. And one of the important reminders is when you have to ensure that when you look for references, the references must be updated. And as per the Commission on Higher Education, the references must not be more than 5 years. So if today is 2021, that's 5, that would give you 2016. So ang pinakaluma nyo dapat is 2016. Also, if in case the article has 5 or more than 5 authors, you will no longer identify the individual surname of the authors. Instead, you're going to identify the first author's surname and you will just provide et al. Nuki et al. If that is 5 or more authors. What else? There are also different methods in which the literature can be processed or can be written. You can first cite the name of the author, for example, Nuki in 2020 discovered that. That's first, no? Saka mo ilagay ngayon yung na-discover niya. Or you first state the discovery or the findings, and then at the end of the paragraph, you provide an in-text citation. You may provide open parentheses, Nuki, comma, 2020. Or you may also utilize, let's say, you state first the surname, Nuki, and then open parentheses 2020 and then close parentheses. Parang ganun. So there are many ways in which your literature can be presented using the APA. Also, one of the highlights of APA is when you write your references, you have to include the DOI. So that is your assignment. You need to look for what do we mean by DOI, because that is very important. DOI.
Data Object Identifier.
Good. Alam na kagad. Meron na kagad nakaalam. Data Object Identifier. That Data Object Identifier is required by the APA 7 style because that will lead the reviewer to the website or to the web page where you retrieved your reference or your article. No, it's a combination of letters and numbers that you just need to copy and paste in your web engine, and then there you go. You will be led to the page or the website where the article was retrieved. No? And the advantage of complying with the American Psychological Association style in writing is that you will avoid the issue or the case on plagiarism, because plagiarism is a mortal sin in research writing. We are allowed, of course, to borrow or to copy the contents or the findings or the informations written by the previous authors, provided that first, we cite them, and second, we paraphrase the information or the findings that we were able to get from the previous articles. Copying them verbatimly is definitely not allowed, because the school has a plagiarism scanner where your paper will be subjected for plug scan or plagiarism scanning. And the beauty of that system or scanner is that your paper, if the contents of your paper were copied verbatimly, the system will give you the website where you copied the contents of your paper verbatimly. Kaya magre-read siya. So I am hoping a zero plagiarism from your research paper. So what you can do, of course, the APA organization would always recommend the use of paraphrasing. You paraphrase whatever you have read from the literature. Paraphrasing would mean that after reading or after making sense of the literature, you make your own statements. You develop your own paragraphs without copying verbatimly the contents of the previous article. But of course, the idea is still there. Siyempre, hindi mo pwedeng baguhin yung idea. That's what we call paraphrasing. Because if you verbatimly copied all the informations coming from the articles, for sure, that will be traced by our plagiarism scanner or plug scanning. No? What else? Do you have any more clarification with the presentation of the APA 7 style? Pati yung referencing na nabanggit naman na, no? When I check your paper, when you come to me for checking, of course, I will always look for the recency. No, it must be within 5 years. Kapag more than 5 years, ay hindi natin tatanggapin yan. Yung mga 1990s, 1980s, baka hindi pa tayo pinapanganak niyan. Yung mga 1800s, 1700s, baka meron pa kayong ganon. Now, what you can do, if ever you would like to use an old theory, for example, you need to look for an updated article, no, wherein that old theory was utilized. That is possible. That the current article utilized the old theory. For example, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, no? I think that was mga 1940s or 1950s pa yata yun. Now, what you can do is you look for an updated article where Maslow was cited. And it's no longer primary citation. The citation will be secondary citation. Now, example, the paper was written by De La Cruz. And De La Cruz, in her paper, used or cited Maslow. So this time, your citation will be primarily coming from De La Cruz. So pwede mo sabihin na, according to Maslow, and then open parenthesis De La Cruz, comma, 2020, and then close parenthesis. So you still cite the name of Maslow, but you no longer put the date, the year of publication of Maslow. Kasi magmumukhang luma yung paper mo. Ang ilalagay mo na doon, secondary citation, after ng according to Maslow, you provide an open and close parenthesis, let's say De La Cruz, comma, 2020. So that makes your paper more updated. All right, so what else about APA 7 style? Do you have any more question? The APA 7 style is applicable to all parts, no, of your paper, from chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. Actually, ang 4 wala na kasi wala ka ng literature inclusion. Literature can always be found in chapters 1, 2, and 3. Pero sa 4 wala na kasi summary, conclusions, and recommendations yan. No? Ano pa? And part of the format of Make a Wine College, as I've mentioned last week, when you present your literature, they must be presented thematically or topically or according to topics or according to variables. If you have 2 variables, you are expected to provide 2 themes or 2 topical headings about your variables, about your independent, for example, and dependent variables. And that is under review of literature. And if you still remember last time, I provided you an approach by which you can make sense of the literature. Anong ulit yung approach na yon sa literature review natin? Anong ulit yung approach? Natatandaan nyo pa? The SA approach. Ano yung S? Synoptic dimension, meaning to say that you're going to make a synopsis or summarize. You need to summarize the literature. And the other one would be?
Argumentative.
Very good, natandaan. Argumentative dimension. This is where you present the conflicting findings of the authors of the previous literature. Argumentative dimension approach. And that SA approach should be present for every theme, for every topic in your literature review, incorporating the APA form and style. And as I've mentioned, each institution has its own form and style for their thesis or dissertation. When we say Make a Wine College, MC is adapting chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. Chapters 1 and 2 being the proposal paper. And then after your paper has been approved, you will proceed to data gathering, implementation, and then you will write your chapters 3 and 4. But for other schools, they are utilizing chapters 1 to 5, chapters 1 to 6. No? Again, it doesn't matter. We are not arguing on the format, but what is important is you know how to properly write your research paper, especially now that our topic is APA style. It is important that you know how to use APA 7th style, incorporate them in your research writing. So are there any more questions or clarifications that you would like to give to us? Kasi I think we are done. Kanina umaga, qualitative research design, ngayon APA style. So it's been a productive day. Meron pa po ba tayong katanungan or clarifications before we end? May natutunan ba kayo? Meron? Paki-thumbs up nga po kung meron kayong natutunan.
Yes po, sir.
Ay, meron. Ayun, may sumagot din. Ayun.
Yes, sir.
Alright, that's good. That's better. Alright. Sige. So that's the purpose naman of our synchronous classes, for you to be updated and for you to be skillful in writing your research paper. I would like to remind you again that on February 9, there will be a face-to-face checking of your chapters 1 and 2. And if you think you already drafted your chapters 1 and 2, please come over and let's see and let's check your chapters 1 and 2 para ma-schedule na kayo for a proposal defense. No? So wala na, sa mga transferees, wala na pong title defense sa Mekawayan College. Diretso na po tayo sa proposal defense. No? So any more clarifications? So at this point, we would like to extend our gratitude to Professor Casimiro for sharing his knowledge about the APA style in writing our scientific research paper. And pwede ba natin bigyan si Professor Casimiro ng virtual clap? Ng yun, emoticons, clap, yan. Yan, Professor Casimiro, they appreciated your presentation.
Thank you po. Thank you po.
Okay. So expect that in our succeeding meetings for the forthcoming Saturdays, there will be more topics that will be showcased in our Zoom platform, and I am hoping that you will be able to attend our sharing webinar series. Ito ay for free, syempre, kasi naka-enroll kayo sa research class, saka sa F2. And take advantage of this kasi imagine nyo, para kayo makapit ng mga students. Ang wala lang certificate, no? Kasi pag nanghingi kayo ng certificate, pagbabayarin na namin kayo. Alright. So, I think that will be all for today. Wala na? Pwede na ulit mag-class picture para sa panghapon. O kung nakakuha na kayo ng picture kanina, okay na yon. So, kung wala na kayong katanungan, maraming salamat and hope to see you again next Saturday. I provided you already the program up until March and hope to see you every Saturday in our Zoom platform. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you po.
Thank you po, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you po, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay.
Thank you, Sir Keith. O, isa. Thank you, Doc Noki.
Yeah. Welcome. Sige.
Nice outfit.
Nice outfit. Okay ba? Pwede na ba? Hmm.